Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Welcome in on a Monday morning. A lot of you ought to be happy because the Aggies and the Cougars and the Utes all won Saturday. Now, you're not all happy because a bunch of you wanted the other two to lose. But, that aside, strong performances. All three teams win. All three teams were favored to win. All three teams covered. All three teams won by double digits. Really wasn't a lot more you could ask for. So, let's hear the post-game reaction from the Aggies and the Utes and the Cougars. And let's start with the Utah State Aggies. Bronco Mendenhall wins the debut game, gets a huge performance out of Miles Davis. 8 carries, 131 yards, a couple of really big plays out of him. Here's the BYU transfer talking about how different things are playing at Utah State.
Miles, first of all, you got to tell us a little bit about your decision to come to Logan and to Utah State. And then was this the kind of game that you've been hoping that you could have as you've been kind of waiting your time?
Yes, sir. This is the game that I've been hoping for, but we got to be greater than, not equal to. The thing that brought me to Utah State is the coaching staff, man. I love this coaching staff. I felt like it was my last year, and I wanted to spend it. I wanted to work hard. I knew this program, these coaches were going to push me to the limit that I can, get to. So, that's the reason why I came.
Is your ability to catch the ball and your ability to get yards after the catch, is that something of your game that you've always felt good about, but it just never had a group that really exploited it like Coach did tonight?
I feel like that's, something, but I feel like these coaches also helped me, get there. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I needed some things to work on, and I feel like Coach Gardner, the running back coach, and Coach Bronco, they pushed me to, get to that next level.
So you're down 7-3, and you get that little zone read off the left-hand hash, and what we saw was,
I thought you stepped out, Miles, but on the replay, your heel never went down,
never
man.
came down. What did you see on that play?
What you mean? Like, what you mean?
On the touchdown run.
The touchdown run.
Oh, yeah, no, I just, I saw my O-line blocking really good for me, so I hit the hole and just tried to go. That was really it.
But to tightrope down that sideline, were you concerned at all that they were getting?
I didn't know. I'm gonna say it's the white cleats. That's what I'm just gonna say. I'm gonna say the white cleats that helped me.
Although, Miles, when we looked at the replay, you were running on your toes, and I assume that's something you always wanted to try to do, because that right heel, as you hit about the 40-yard line, it never came down.
Yes,
and so you kept that toe up, or the toe down and the heel up, and you stayed in bounds.
Yes, sir. That's the track. That's the track workouts that we doing up here.
I love it. Hey, has this been one of your hardest off seasons in terms of training and from a physicality standpoint?
Yes, this is the hardest program that I feel like anybody can go through. I feel like we train literally like Navy SEALs, but it helps. It helps so much. It helps with the mental. It helps with the, just the athletic ability. It helps with so many things. It just, I feel like me as a player, I needed this.
When you get up 28-10 there in the third quarter, it started to started kind of getting stuck a little bit. I'm sure that's something that when you go back and look at film, you guys will kind of work on that. But talk about what you're talking about on the sideline to say, hey, listen, we still got to just keep out there executing and doing our best. But what are some of the things that you think you can do a little bit better as you go into College Station and Texas A&M next week?
I feel like it's the first game. The first game is always kind of shaky for guys, like over it's just NFL, like football overall. It's kind of shaky. So I think we got to just dial in on the fundamentals and go back and do our 111. And I feel like that would help us go to, College Station and do what we have to do.
For the first time in his career, Bryson Barnes starts the year as being the guy. What did you see out of him tonight, and what's his progression as a leader been like in this offseason going into this year?
Man, Bryson is different. Bryson is different. I feel like tonight he showed it. He showed tonight that he's a different type of, quarterback, and he's an athlete. And I feel like as a leader, he I don't know if you guys look at our social media page and stuff like that, but he's a true leader. Like, he's just a world-class athlete and a true leader. And what more can you ask for a quarterback more than that? So,
When you get up 28-10 there in the third quarter, it started to And Miles, talk a little bit about those guys up front. That a lot of them, getting some of their first action transfers coming in from other programs. Mm-hmm. How would you grade out your guys up front?
To me, they did they had 100%. Now, of course, there's some things that we have to work on, but to me, they did 100%. You know what I mean? So
there's Utah State running back Miles Davis. Now here's the head coach, Bronco Mendenhall.
Coach, first off, congratulations on getting the win. I'm sure that had to be fun to go to your locker room and say, hey, this is why we did all that work in the offseason for moments like this.
Man, I just I'm so grateful to be the coach at Utah State. The support that was displayed in our stadium, the herd, the students, our alumni, the community members. I'm grateful that I get to lead this team. I'm so thankful for how our players have allowed me to coach them, which that is a choice they make, and I'm thankful for the community just coming out to support. And I hope everyone that was here has hope and optimism and sees the direction and appreciates the effort that the team was playing with. And certainly it's gratifying. The coolest thing about being a head coach and a parent is you seeing other people happy, and the ones that you're working with where they achieve their goals and they work so hard. And then you can see a reward that actually comes, and it kind of perpetuates all the difficult things you've been teaching and hoping that they would embrace. And so the locker room moments of seeing all the smiles and the young people that I care about so much just enjoying it, that's really fun.
Coach, welcome to Cache Valley. So excited to have you here.
Hey, is that my former teammate, Kevin White?
It is.
All right.
Some of your key pillars, you win the turnover battle.
Yep.
You get more yards per play.
Yep.
Some of those key things that you always talk about, you won all three of some of the biggest,
yep, including
then, of course, scoring over 24 and holding under 24. So check. You had to be pleased with all those three pillars.
It was, we're a process-oriented organization, and I'm a process-oriented leader. And so the leader's job is to set the vision, but also capture hearts and minds along the way, but also then give the right metrics so the players know that if you do this, right, the results over time have been this. And so each of those things you mentioned, we call them our pillars. I don't talk about them really openly or publicly, but each one of those predicts at a really high level over a 19-year career of being a head coach, what success will look like winning-wise. And so we focus simply on the process, never on the outcome, and that keeps us grounded in what really will make a difference. And it wasn't a game where we clearly pulled away, and it wasn't a game that you could say, man, we dominated our opponent. But what we did do was from quarter one to quarter four, we hit the key metrics we needed to. We stayed together, we were resilient, we made enough plays, and we played complementary football in a manner that yielded that. And that's really gratifying, and I think it will help our team. It just kind of cements or begins to cement the approach that we've been talking about.
Miles Davis has been looking for opportunities. We talk about Bryson Barnes being the guy, but you can tell Miles Davis was at a point where he really wanted to put his fingerprints on an offense, and I thought he was just outstanding tonight.
Miles Davis is an amazing young person. He is an exceptional young man. He's so grateful for this opportunity. He's just bright and hardworking, and this is a young man in transferring from BYU. He could not make his times. He couldn't finish his workouts in our program. And man, he from the winter through the summer, he has changed colors in our system. He has become one of the most elite conditioned players. He's working in terms of his goals. All of our players, right, we have a very clear mental process and fearless mind journals that we work through, and many times he's here before any of the coaches or anyone else, and he's just sitting by himself working on the mental approach and filling in his journal, and he's on a mission not only for himself but to help this team. And so it's really fun to see someone that has invested that much time, energy, and effort then be able to carry the load offensively, because he could not have when he first arrived, and he wasn't going to be a significant contributor right away. He wasn't fit enough to be able to do that, and that was the feedback he got. And man, he thanked us for that feedback, and he just worked like crazy. And to see him in game one be able to do that, just that smile I saw from him today was, we both knew what it meant.
Yeah, you could tell as we talked with him here in the post game how happy he was. Got a two-part question for you, Coach. is it 87 new players? Is that the number?
That counts missionaries. And so those guys, when they come back, 36 new that were playing tonight, six first-time starters for Utah State. But 87 includes the missionaries on a roster of 109.
Incredible. So obviously week one, not everything comes together, but evaluate your team. Maybe you'll need to wait till you see the film, but evaluate from what you just experienced how they're coming together here after week one.
I was really impressed. So I thought Coach Howell did a super job getting our defense ready against the tempo, against the looks that UTEP has, with some really skilled and vibrant wideouts. The first time we played man coverage, you saw that we gave up a slot fade, as did Nebraska a year ago. And so we were mindful on any given play. They had players that could go behind us or around us, and we developed Coach Howell and staff developed a really nice plan, and then executed it really from beginning to end. And middle of the third quarter through the fourth, we weren't moving the ball effectively offensively, but the defense played and played and played and played and played and closed out the game, which was really fun to see. Offensively, man, we saw bright spots happening, and we saw diverse approaches between quarterback, between running back, between receiver, between tight end, and unique formations and play calling, etc. And I was super encouraged by that. Had some penalties get in the way of our team, we'll address that as we kind of move on. And then really just the consistency offensively was probably the thing that showed the most down the stretch, where we couldn't really pull away. I was super encouraged by our coverage units, kick and punt coverage. We did a really nice job. And sometimes that's suspect in terms of lanes and discipline and effort or just how it looks. And I was really impressed, besides us then being able to execute a 2-point play out of our field goal unit with AG. And that was, man, what a cool play that was.
Well, there was just so many really cool things to talk about. I know the penalties to be addressed,
yep.
and the protection of Bryson Barnes. You give up 7 sacks. Some of those were, him eating the ball to keep the clock running and things like that. But overall, talk about the protection and how that can be improved.
Yeah, I think, man, I'm glad you brought that up. Inconsistent, and so we will address that. Give UTEP credit, and so sometimes they just beat us. Other times we just didn't protect the communication, the call, and the assignments. Didn't turn the right way. Back wasn't coordinated with the offensive front. And so those things can be worked on, and then Bryson's really smart. So rather than being careless with the ball, rather than maybe over trying to extend or create, sometimes a good play is the next play. And so I thought he did a really nice job of scrambling for what he could get. Ball security was exceptional by him, but certainly part of the inconsistency between the penalties, I think, would be some of the protection. And I'm glad you brought that up.
A lot of people wondered what the safety position would look like for a lot of different reasons, which we don't need to talk about. But I just thought that between Noah with 11 tackles and Brevin with 8 tackles, and I thought in position, both in the run fit as well as in the passing game, and then their ability to run to the football and make tackles, especially when they're tackling in space, I thought they were outstanding.
Yeah, those kids are so tough. And I love tough kids that just, do what they're supposed to do and are team-first oriented and are so accountable and fierce and play for their teammates. And Brevin Hamblin kind of, roaming in the middle. And then you have BT, Bryson Taylor, and Bobby Arnold on one side of him. And then you have Noah Avenger on the other side. And there's others that were just kind of are waiting in the wings to get their opportunity. It's fun to look out and just see amazing young people. And that's I was so happy for them. I think they tackled well. I think they covered well. I think they leveraged the ball well. They were just, their jerseys were drenched and they were smiling. And that's a cool way to spend a Saturday.
Brevin, I thought, for a big 6'5" kid playing that safety spot,
yeah,
man,
totally.
He could. Does he remind you at all of an Urlacher?
So the position he played tonight was an Urlacher-ish position. But again, we're talking about Urlacher is 6'4", 263 his senior year, led the nation in tackles, power clean, 400 pounds, 4'4", and over a 40-inch vertical. So the height is the same, and Brevin is a really good tackler and a really good football player. Urlacher was a first-round draft pick, so not a fair comparison to any of us. And Brevin's a really good player, so it's hard to throw the Urlacher label in there and have anyone just like that. Because so for our fans that are listening, Urlacher was Rookie of the Year his first year and All-Pro every year he played.
And wearing a gold jacket now.
Yeah, how often does that happen?
Yeah, not often. You know, when we were talking to Noah, he mentioned that he knew what he was getting into because, you know, you were with him at New Mexico. And so when a kid seeks that out and you had, you know, the off season and the work and the grueling effort that you put these guys through, and he's like, no, I want to be a part of that. I want to go that. I want to follow to that. It just goes to show what you've been saying and telling me for a long time, that kids want to be accountable. They want to be pushed hard. They want to be coached hard because they get results like they get tonight.
They do, and they feel themselves develop. And the number one thing that motivates any of us is a sense of improvement. And yeah, you'd say, man, that guy's crazy. He's coming from New Mexico to stay with the same approach. And you could say the same about Javen Jacobs. And you could say the same about Bobby Arnold. And you could say the same about Bryson Taylor. And you could say the same about Hiram Hatch. And but they know what really vigilant and hard work looks like. And they know the results internally they feel. And they also know what it does to a team and how unifying it becomes. And I'm not saying we've arrived. So for all of our listeners, we're just starting. But those are kids that have gone through it, and they wouldn't have it any other way. And that's really fun.
Two quick questions, Coach. I thought, the very first play of the game, Chris Joe gets a TFL.
Yeah.
How about that, a freshman? And talk about some of the growth of he and Carson Tujay and some of these young guys that are coming in and making some plays.
Really fun. So Chris Joe, he committed to us at the University of New Mexico and then chose to come here to Utah State with us as a true freshman, all fall camp, every single scrimmage. There's just play after play after play. And so Coach Jorgensen has just been mentoring him really almost one-on-one and trying to expedite his preparation to start a college football game as a true freshman. And I think he handled it really well for his first one. Carson Tujay, I couldn't be happier. His father was my offensive line coach, not only at BYU but at the University of Virginia. Carson's sister is my personal assistant, and he wasn't getting playing time at BYU. We knew him. We knew what was inside of him. His spirit, his determination, his will, all the things, and he's a good player. And so comes here. We had 9 different D linemen playing and rotating tonight, and it's fun to see players that are sweating, exhausted, and tired. And let's face it, everyone wants to be needed and wanted, and he's needed and wanted here, and that's great for everybody.
There's Bronco, predictably talking about process over results. No surprise there. He's very consistent. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll go to Provo, we'll go to Pasadena, we'll hear from the Utes and Cougars. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. Well, the Utes with a blowout win at UCLA. Devon Dampier, 21 of 25 for 206 yards. 2 touchdowns, no picks. We talked about the 57% completion rate's got to go up. For one night, it did. The interception-touchdown ratio has to be better. 2-zip. Kyle would take that 12 weeks in a row. No doubt about it. Devon Dampier joined at the podium by Smith Snowden. Now, the Sky Ridge High product is a corner. But as you'll hear Kyle say in a minute, he's played so well at corner, they're going to use him on offense too because, like Lander Barton, he was really good on offense in high school. And sure enough, he had a touchdown. He had multiple big plays as a receiver. Here's Devon Dampier and Smith Snowden.
Devon, how'd it feel? Man, awesome. First time I got to wear that Ute jersey. It means a lot to this program to be a Ute. So just to be out there with my boys, it was great. I felt like we were clicking on all cylinders today. We played football at our best today, and continue to stack the days. There's a lot we can learn from and continue to get better.
So what were your expectations coming into this game about how much you were going to play on offense?
I had an idea, so it was nice that I had an idea of what it was going to look like, but I feel like that's where most of my pre-game butterflies came from, was just knowing that I'm going to go out there and play some offense. But feel me, offense went out there, took care of business. It was just a great team win.
Devon, what kind of message do you feel like you made with the way that you guys performed with the run game specifically?
Yeah, again, we've been talking about our O-line all preseason, and, I think they showed it more than I did. Obviously those holes are there, and regardless of who's running that ball, we're going to get the first down. So I think we showed that, we can be very capable of being consistent running the ball.
Devon, obviously, this seems like a statement game for what was your mentality walking into this game? Obviously, knowing the preseason hype around you, and for Smith, I mean, just what would you see from Devon just in those moments in the huddle?
Yeah, just to start off, I mean, my personal goal was to come in here and just, let's show that Utah can score on offense too. That was the biggest thing just talked about last year. So, we made it an emphasis that, we're going to play all 4 quarters and we're going to put points on the board. So just for us to do that on our side was great.
Did you run as much as you thought you were? It looked like you were looking to try to get the ball through the air, but maybe had a couple opportunities to run.
Yeah, I play to win. I tell everyone, that's if the situation comes where I got to run the ball, I'm gonna run the ball, and I'm gonna do what I got to do for my boys.
But did you want to make sure that you were throwing it more this game as opposed to maybe running it as much as you did last year?
Yeah, there was no emphasis on it. Whatever was called, I took what the defense gave me.
Devon, how much of an adjustment has it been for you going from last year's experience behind, the offensive line, the pressure you faced, to this one where you have a lot of time in the pocket? What has that adjustment been for you and how you execute and operate?
Yeah, I think just the way I'm able to stay in the pocket. A lot of people say there's a 3-second rule for a quarterback. You take about 3 seconds, you should be having to scramble. And with our offense, I'm able to chill back there and find a receiver. And so, it's a little adjustment for sure.
How would you say the defensive performance was today?
The defensive performance was great, honestly. There's obviously plays you want to clean up, plays that you wish you could get back, but I think overall, I think we had a great day. There's some tackles that we could have made, but other than that, I think it was a really great game one, a game to kind of make a statement, kind of show people who we are and what this team is about.
Devon, Matt Miner compared you to Kyler Murray on social media. To get that kind of attention, obviously you were under-recruited in your career. Just what does it mean for you to kind of get that comparison so early on in the season?
Yeah, I think that's awesome for sure, but what happens in our building, that's the opinion I care about, how my boys view me just as a leader and how I am on that field. So, but I love that. That's awesome.
And Smith, just walk me through, I guess, Devon's mentality heading into this weekend. Just what makes him such a special athlete or team?
Yeah, no, Devon's he's a commander of the offense and of this team, really. I was telling him before the game that we're going to rally behind you, Dev, and that's exactly what he did. He went out there, showed out, did his thing, and took care of business.
The same for Smith. That's why we got him on offense. You see it. When the ball's in his hands, he's able to make plays. So for a player to play defense and offense, huge kudos to him.
Did you get tired out there at all?
A little bit, but it's nothing. Shake back.
Smith, you were obviously a part of the last Pac-12 team. UCLA was kind of one of the ones that blew up the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
How does something like this feel getting this big one?
Oh yeah, this feels great. This feels great to come out here and just handle business. I know the last couple of games that we've been to the Rose Bowl wasn't the outcome that we wanted to, so to walk out with a victory, it's big.
Smith and Devon, obviously, Devon, you weren't a part of last year's team, but I'm sure you've gotten a sense of just how this team's wanted to rebound. How did you guys approach this game? Did you guys view it as a statement of that season's gone? Walk me through that mentality.
Yeah, no, this game was a statement game for sure. I think everyone on the team had a good idea that it was a statement game and that we wanted to show the nation what this team is about and just take care of business.
Yep, and we kind of had one of our meetings at the end of practice. We made a big emphasis that last year was last year. It's time to move on, and we came out here and big mentality was the win for sure. Old man Jaron Compton, he told me he lost a couple times here, so I made sure I was like, I got you one. I got you one.
All right, there's Devon Dampier and Smith Snowden. Now here's the head coach, Kyle Whittingham. I do believe he loved that 21-play touchdown drive in the third quarter. Here's Kyle loving his offensive line.
Obviously a positive start to the season. Proud of the way the guys played. Offense seemed to be in a rhythm from drive one to the end of the game. They stayed in that rhythm. Thought Devon did a great job running the offense. Made great decisions. You saw his playmaking ability. Did a great job taking care of the football. Did a great job distributing the football. Kept it when he needed to keep it. Thought the defensive guys that played both ways were a big shot in the arm for the offense. And created some really good things, good gains. third down was incredible. I think we were 14 out of 16 on third down. That's off the charts. I've probably never been involved in a game where we've had that many third down opportunities and converted that high a percentage. So that was a huge part of the success. Obviously ran the ball well, and close to 300 yards. And everything I just said doesn't happen unless your offensive line plays outstanding. So great credit, great tribute to that O-line. Those guys are a big physical group. They were as advertised tonight, and we just got to keep on that trajectory and keep working hard. Like I said, I'm proud of them, but that's only one. But it's a heck of a start to the season. Going to a Big Ten stadium and they get a win that's decisive is a very positive way to start. So, questions?
Kyle, obviously, you talked about having Smith and Lander and all these other defensive guys kind of playing on the other side. Do you expect to have Smith, for example, that much, or is it just kind of carrying the hot hand?
No, that's about the dose that he's been getting the ball in practice. Same with Lander. Jackson Benny had been a little more involved in practice, wasn't as involved tonight as he may be down the road, but those three guys, we got them all on pitch counts and making sure that we don't overdo it. And we're not really sure what that pitch count number is right now. We're just going to play it by ear as we go through the season. I think we'll be able to settle on what a realistic workload is for them. That will also include monitoring and adjusting practice during the week. We got to make sure guys playing 100+ snaps a week, we got to do something during the week to preserve them. And so that's still a work in progress. We've talked to the Colorado guys about Travis Hunter extensively, but he's a special guy. I mean, Travis Hunter, there's maybe no one like him in the country, so you can't just model it after that. But those guys definitely added to what we were doing on offense tonight.
Coach, how would you assess Devon Dampier in terms of his ability to manage the pocket and execute in the passing game?
Outstanding. I don't know what his numbers were in the throw game. We didn't have a ton of yards, a couple hundred. 200 yards, and he was 21 or 26. And you talk about a guy that really has worked hard in the offseason, because we knew when we took him out of New Mexico, 57% completion percentage needed to improve. The touchdown to interception ratio needed to improve, and at least tonight that did improve. So that was great to see.
Kyle Liner compared Devon to Kyler Murray, just obviously a Heisman winner. I mean,
yeah.
Just what is your reaction to that comment? How special?
Well, that's a heck of a comparison, and I got a lot of respect for Matt Leinart. So coming from him, that means something. But Devon, he's electric. He's a highlight film waiting to happen. You saw him get out of some of those jams. Needs to be a little more judicious at times. There was a couple times he needed to get down, and so we'll continue to preach that. But his game resembles Kyler Murray's a lot. He's not, Kyler Murray's obviously a terrific quarterback, but Devon right now for us is doing a great job.
How would you assess the youth at defensive line, how they performed tonight?
Very well. You said youth, right? Youth, yeah, very well. Aliki Vimahi's our one elder statesman up front at the tackle spot on the interior. Dallas played a lot for us last year, but he was just off a mission. You see a new Dallas this year. He's a whole different guy. He got a little banged up, wasn't able to finish, but we're really excited about Jonah Lea'ea, Pupu. Still not real good at pronouncing his last name. I'll keep working on it, but he's going to be a beast. And Carson Kafusi. So got a lot of good young tackles in the program right now on the edge. I thought we had good pressure out of John Henry Daly, out of Logan Fano, Cash Dillon, Lance Holtzclaw, and Paul Fitzgerald. They all played. They all got reps.
How would you assess the defense as a whole?
Very good. And what were the numbers? It was under 250, I believe. 220 total low. They only had to play 50 snaps. And that's because they played third down exceptionally well. UCLA was only 2 of 11 on third down. So, again, we dominated third down on both sides of the ball. Which,
54-yard field goal.
yeah, the kid's got a strong leg. Like I've been saying, he's still figuring out Division I football and the bright lights and the crowd. You didn't see his capabilities in kickoff like we see in practice. Now, I know it's sea level here. It's not going to be as noticeable, but he's got a lot more in the tank than what you saw tonight, particularly on kickoffs. I would rate his first performance an A+. the flow of the game, the calls had him off balance. Thought the run-pass ratio was outstanding. The RPO facet that he brought and implemented. He's just a masterful play caller. At least he has been and he was tonight, so I hope it doesn't change. I hope he continues down that road.
Now, you've obviously said Devon is a special talent dating back to the spring, but obviously he's flown under the radar in New Mexico, three-star recruit. What do you think this kind of performance does for him in terms of how people recognize his game and put him on, a national level?
Yeah, well, he had to draw the attention of some people tonight. The Matt Leinart comment is, that's a start right there. But Devon Dampier is a competitive kid. He's a hard worker. He's humble. He understands that he just needs to keep getting better and better. And he's a guy that the players love. They've just embraced him, and that's huge when your quarterback is thought of as he is. And not that other ones haven't been here, but they really seem to have taken a liking to him.
Kyle, you obviously went up tempo today on offense, but you also had that drive. It was 20 plays.
21 plays, 10 minutes.
What does that do for your team to be able to have that kind of variation?
Well, first of all, again, that kind of drive doesn't happen without a front that's dominating. And our front really took control of that drive. They had control the whole night, but that's a statement drive, saying, hey, we can lean on you and impose our will if we want. And that was great to see.
Walk me through, I guess, Smith's kind of transition into a two-way role. Do you expect him to play more wide receiver than defense this season, or is it kind of up in the air and just kind of how the game plan goes?
It's a work in progress, but to me it was a no-brainer. Smith's at the point as a defender where he's mastered, not to say he will never get beat or anything like that, but he's mastered his assignments, he's mastered his techniques, his fundamentals, and once that happens, and he was a special offensive player in high school, and so I thought, what the heck, we got to utilize all our resources and put it to Coach Scally first, and he said great, he was on board, and Jason was excited to get him, and so that's how it evolved.
There's Utah football coach Kyle Whittingham. A reminder, don't miss your chance to win big every week on The Zone. This week on Win Ticket Wednesday, win tickets to the Utah State Fair, September 4th through the 14th. Where can you find the Big Yellow Slide, the best corn dog in the world, a butter sculpture, arts and crafts, a rodeo, a demolition derby, and a legendary rock band? Just to name a few. Nowhere but the fair. That's where. Listen to The Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll hear from the Cougars and Provo. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5 The Zone. BYU, like Utah and Utah State, picking up the opening week win. Now, the difference is the other two had a chance to be tested, although they both won comfortably. BYU, we always know, is going to be a blowout. So what do you look for in a blowout? What do you see? Sure enough, it was a blowout and a shutout. Here's Kalani Sitake with what he saw over the course of that blowout win against Portland State.
Happy you got the win. Proud of a lot of things I saw in the game. Obviously, I'm going to be a coach and say that it wasn't perfect, and there's a lot of places that we can improve on. But I was really proud of the entire team from beginning to end. And at the beginning, we had some rough times. I mean, I think we punted the first series. Defense gave up some plays, got the turnover, and so the blocked field goal kind of was swung the momentum our way. The guys never looked back afterwards. Even coming in after halftime, I really liked what our ones were doing, but we knew that game was pretty much done, and so we put our reserve guys in the second half, and I was really proud of the way that they played. Got some really good, valuable reps and great competition that we were able to see from them, and I thought they performed at a high level. So that's going to help our depth, But I wish Portland State best of luck the rest of the way. I mean, I know they got banged up in this game and the game before, so hopefully they can get healthy and be ready to play the rest of their schedule, especially next week. So, but proud of the team and looking forward to next week. I think you can make a lot of improvement from week 1 to week 2, and looking forward to getting that done, watching the film. But overall, just really excited about what we saw from them tonight. So.
Kalani, Portland State had a total of -9 yards on offense through the second quarter and third quarter combined. What do you feel like the defense did specifically that they were able to clamp down to that level at that pivotal stretch in the game?
I think the defense. I mean, they're in the system now, so there's a lot of guys that have been here for a while and spend a lot of time with Jay Hill and the entire defensive staff. Having the whole defensive staff intact and returning was huge for us, and it shows in the way these guys have been ready. I mean, I think a lot of times when you have some turnover and some changes in the coaching staff, you have to get guys used to a new coach, and I think that's harder than what people would think. And so I'm really thankful that we're able to hang on to our coaches, and I think it's going to help us in the long run, especially through the season. But for the depth and for what we're looking for the team, having that consistency in the position group, in the room, who's speaking, was nice, and Jay Hill's done a great job with the defense. I'm really, really happy with what he's done, and looking forward to what they can accomplish even more this year, and especially week 2 when we take on Stanford. Offensively, I thought we did enough that what we needed to do. I mean, I think A-Rod felt like he knew we could run the ball. I think at the end we just wanted to see Bear in that 2-minute situation. I thought he did a great job, and so. But after that, it was kind of we knew to just shut him down, and LJ and Sion and the rest of the guys, and so we had a lot of threes playing in the game too, and so it was a lot of fun.
How did you break down what Bear did? I mean, first chance for a true freshman to play. What did you think of his performance?
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. I mean, I think the physical part of the game was something that once he started getting hit a little bit, then I think he was able to settle down. I think it's hard when you get into this environment. I don't know if they were ready for the stands to be that packed, and there's a huge credit to our fans. They're awesome. I mean, we're not even in school yet, and then there's a packed house, and they're excited to watch BYU football, and so I think that could get you a little bit nervous. So I think he was able to settle down, and I think on some of the throws, he wished he can get those back, but. Overall, I thought he had a good demeanor about him. I thought he had a great presence. The guys felt really good about him leading the offense, and I felt good about how it finished in the first half.
Did you consider putting him in at all in the second half, like to start the second half?
We thought about it, but I think at the end of the first half was kind of like that was enough. I think we wanted to see him in that, and I don't think anyone can blame us for trying to score in a 2-minute situation. So once we saw that, I think it was easy to shut it down. I'm not trying to pad stats. I'm trying to keep guys healthy, and at the same time you can keep guys healthy but then work on depth and get some valuable reps. I think it's going to pay off in the long run. We had O-linemen. I mean, there were very valuable reps for those guys, and they were able to have some success. And then we went down the line on our players, and it was a great time for those guys to be in that situation. So I didn't mind it at all, and I just talked to my wife on the phone. She's like, you stop trying to look so disappointed when you score and stuff like that. I was just like, I wasn't disappointed. I was like, let's just run the clock out and, trying to do the Lavelle-like thing, But when the team's rolling and guys are doing what they're supposed to, then success will be there. And so I don't mind what they had what we did in the second half. I talked to Coach Barnum too, and he felt fine with everything. So that made me feel a lot better.
Kalani, when you said there are areas you can improve on, does anything come to mind?
Yeah, right away. I think it's it's at the end. I just cut you off. It's the penalties, and then I say that, and it's like I don't know if that was any of the ones, but it doesn't really matter. I think we had a couple holding penalties, and then we had one that took away a great return from Cannon DeVries. So there's that, and then a 15-yarder targeting. But I mean, the guys are just really excited and amped up to play. But we have to have better mindset and better control, be more disciplined. We've been really focusing on that. We had a delay game, but we were trying to milk the clock. So I don't blame the guys on that one. They're just trying to milk it too much. But other than that, I think execution-wise, I think we did for the most part. The guys actually, all 11 guys on the field played clean football and assignment sound football. We'll have to watch the film, see how we did fundamentally, if we missed a lot of tackles or not. But I thought the guys were flying around. They looked really good, man. From what I watched and what I saw in all 3 phases, I thought we looked really good and looked really fast, and I'm really excited about that.
Is this the fastest team you've had since you've been here?
I think the numbers will probably tell you that, yeah, when we look at all the stuff and see how quick they run. It's just we need them to be right, though, because if you go the wrong way and you do it fast, you're really wrong. You know what I mean? So, and that took some practicing, but the guys have actually been working really hard on it. And we just got to keep working, though. Stay humble, keep working. I think the guys are excited that their teammates got opportunities to play in the second half, and they're really excited when the guys got to score touchdowns and stuff like that. So just got to keep it rolling, though. So we're going to nitpick this thing and try to find ways to get better any way we can, because that's just what we do as a staff. But really proud of the entire staff and how hard they worked, and proud of our players and the mental state that they came into the game was awesome.
What do you think of the poise, though, from Bear in plays like that one with Hagan, 57-yarder, a lot of movement on that play?
Yeah.
He was pretty calm and poised. Like, just is that the maturity that you guys were talking about in camp?
Yeah, and I think I mentioned it before. Like, I felt really comfortable with all our quarterbacks. And so when you saw McKay and Trayson come in the game, they had a very similar demeanor about them and a good presence. And that's a good sign. You know, they're making plays, and I mean, the command of the offense, those guys get it. And so I just have to give hats off to the quarterback room getting that place ready. And then even Cole Hagan came at the end and got some reps too, you know. So trying to figure out what to do, the best thing to do with Emerson, trying to preserve his redshirt year. And then there's a lot of guys that we burned one of the 4 games that we can for the red shirts, but I think they were really valuable, especially at O-line. Those guys got a lot of reps, and D-line got some reps too. So, I mean, it was all around. I think in all 3 phases, the guys were able to get out there and play, and it was nice that we were able to have the game under control and then let these guys roll, and also allow Portland State to try to find ways to make plays. And the guys, man, they kept the momentum going. So really happy with everything.
That kick by Will Perrin was the longest in school history. How comfortable, or how long of a kick do you feel comfortable with him taking in game situations?
How much did he clear it by? Do you know? Pretty good, yeah. He was getting after the ball today. I mean, the kickoffs were. I mean, he had one that we wanted to, you know, kind of pop it up a little bit. And it was like spot on. He's a next level kicker. So, you know, we didn't know what to do right there in that spot, because we were in a position where we either pin punt it and get the ball down and keep them backed up, or just go for the field goal. And I mean, my old teammate Owen Potchman had the record. I think he tied it. So I think we were trying to break the record, but I don't know. Just it seemed like the right thing to do, and he was ready to go. So it's nice to get him that rep. But yeah, we just want to see him kick the ball.
Last couple of questions. Coach Bear dropped his shoulder on a couple of run calls.
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys are wanting to see, or are you trying to teach him to slide a little bit more to preserve his health?
I don't know. It's just, I think it's one of those. It all depends in the circumstance. So I just don't want him jumping too much. You know what I mean? I think he launched into the end zone, but we want to take care of the football more than anything. That's all. But yeah, I don't want the quarterbacks to get contact, but these guys all. I mean, you saw them all. They're ready to run the ball. So it's nice to have athletic quarterbacks that can use their feet.
Jay Martin had a career night on only 8 carries, but what did you make in particular of his game, and then those 2 explosive runs that he had for 44 and 49?
Yeah, I was just really excited about that he was able to break tackles, and that's what we were able to see from him, you know, throughout the last couple of years. He started to really come into his own as a leader. He's a team captain. He understands the offense. It's nice, man. It's just like, I remember when he was a true freshman, we were trying to get him lined up correctly, and now he's directing everybody else, and I've been really, really impressed with his leadership. So, and he's still physical. He's changed his body a little bit, and man, he's got some speed. So we'll give him a hard time about getting caught in some of those runs, but I just like that he's able to break some tackles.
What's impressed you the most about JT in the interior of the defensive line, to the point where, you know, he's alongside with Keanu in the interior?
Yeah, I think those guys work really well together. I think the question everybody had was what's going to happen with our D-line, and I think we have a really good answer with that. I think a lot of the focus goes on Keanu, and so guys like JT and others are going to have to find ways to make plays. I think I give a lot of credit to what Sione Poha has been able to do as a coach, and getting those guys ready, and the entire D-line with Sione Poha and K-Pop and Gary Anderson, Chad Kohaha, those guys got them all ready, man. And they're a young group except for JT. I think he's one of the upperclassmen, but the rest of the guys, I mean, Sione believed in him, and so I'm glad he was able to have his moment and make plays. He was showing some really good moments last year. We feel really good about the entire group, and I'm glad that they were to get a lot of reps. But it was nice to see him and to see JT and Keanu be able to get after it and be physical at the line of scrimmage.
There's the head coach, Kalani Sitake. Now here's the freshman quarterback, Bear Bachmeier.
How would you assess your performance today? What are your thoughts on how you did?
Yeah, I thought it was a great team win. I thought we ran the ball really well. We put up a lot of points, and defense was second to none. So I thought it was a great team win.
What would you attribute to the slow start initially?
I mean, first game in LES, and I mean that kind of happens in your first game. Obviously, we don't want that to happen. Unfortunately, it did. But you kind of adapt, and you end up getting a lot of points, and so yeah.
How comfortable did you feel out there, though? Running those plays, there was some complicated ones, a lot of movement in some of those. Just the comfort level of this offense.
Yeah, pretty comfortable. I think it's pretty easy when you got a great support staff, and you got 10 guys around you that can go.
Was there a specific moment where you feel like you got a bit more settled into the game?
Yeah, I think after that first series, and then we got a special teams touchdown. You kind of get the jitters out, and you kind of be mindful and present in the moment, and so kind of just get comfortable with that.
Were you hoping to play in the second half?
I was hoping, but I mean, I understand why.
5 touchdowns, 3 passing, 2 rushing. Not a bad debut. How nice was it to get the ball in the end zone that many times?
Yeah, it was great. I think it's a testament to the team and first off in defense, and then the 10 guys around me, make my job easier. So.
How many family members did you have here? Was it estimate for your start?
We had a lot. I think it was about like 10 to 15. I think. So, I mean, they're a great support staff, and I mean, I love them. And so, yeah, it was great.
How nice is it to have guys like L.J. Martin and Sione Moa in the backfield with you to get that ground attack going?
Yeah, it's really nice. I mean, it starts up front and but when you got L.J. Martin and Sione Moa, it makes your job a lot easier.
Take us through your second rushing touchdown. Looked like you can scoop pretty well out there and make a guy miss.
Yeah, you kind of go back to your innate behavior, and you kind of just want to make some guy miss and go get in that end zone.
Linebacker instincts take over a little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
Kalani did mention it seemed like you kind of settled in a little bit after you took a hit or two. Is there something about just like kind of being involved in real football where you go, okay, like I'm here, I'm present, I'm ready?
Yeah, I mean, it's football, and you want to get hit. I think it's you just get hit, and you're in the game, and yeah, you kind of just settle in.
Life has moved really fast for you, and you just seem to do everything with ease and a level of calm. Where does that come from? Is it family, your coaches? What has made you ready for the spotlight and everything you're going through right now?
Yeah, I think it was just the way I was raised. I have a great father, great mother, and then 3 older siblings that I look up to, and a younger brother I'm just trying to be a great role model for. But growing up, it was, it's hectic, and you try and just stay calm, but yeah, you kind of just carry that through football and through life.
You gonna be able to get to sleep tonight, or does that a night like this even rattle you at all?
Yeah, I'll get some sleep. I think I'll go eat dinner with my family, but yeah, after I'll get some sleep.
What's it like running out of the tunnel in front of 64,000 fans for the first time? Just wondered what that moment was like before the game.
It was crazy. It was a surreal moment. You see it just blue around you, and kind of heart starts beating a little. So it was a great experience.
How would you describe the workload you took on this week in preparation for this first start? How late were you staying up? You just to be ready for this moment.
Yeah, the workload is always going to be heavy, especially being a quarterback at BYU. Again, I think I test the help to my support staff and Coach Mitchell, Coach A-Rod, and other quarterbacks in the room that lifts some weight off and makes it easier.
Any other questions?
What do you want to improve for next week? What's the next step for you?
Yeah, I think. Obviously, I think that our first series could definitely be better. You want to get first downs, and that happens in the first game. But I think we can come with our hat on fire and go score a touchdown in that first series.
There's Bear Bachmeier. When we come back, all the headlines. What is trending is next.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know. News update. This is what's trending with DJ and PK. #college football.
King claps, snaps, fakes the toss, runs right, puts a hand in the back of his line, breakthrough. He's at the 35, 30. He's gone. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown. Haynes King. 1:07 to go.
Shehan in the shotgun, receives the football, fakes a handoff, looks to throw. Shehan will pump that one deep down to the right side, left sideline, Tate with it. Take it down in the end zone for a touchdown. Carnell Tate.
Castellanos gives Sawchuk, big hole 10, Sawchuk 5, still on his feet, pushing the power forward, jump, tap, towards the goal line, he's in! He's in! Gavin Sawchuk has given Florida State a 2-score lead.
For the lead, 3 points, 44 yards for the lead, snap is down, kick is on the way, it's on, gonna be good! Carter Davis got it down the middle. He puts Miami in front, 27-24, with 1:04 to go in the game.
Highlights from the first full weekend of college football. PK, number 1, Texas gets beat. Number 4, Clemson gets beat. Number 6, Notre Dame. Number 8, Alabama. 4 of the top 8 fallen. 3 of them couldn't even get to 20 points. Texas's offense had an especially miserable day. Your takeaways from a day full of action across the country.
We'll see if those teams are legitimate. Arch Manning's got a name, but he hadn't done anything. And after game 1, he still hasn't done anything. Alabama, they're 5-5 in their last 10, so why do I think they're anything? Who else you got?
Number 4, Clemson, losing LSU 17-10.
That game could have gone either way, a little bit on the boring side. I don't think that these teams are, in terms of Clemson, has lost anything that's great. I don't think LSU that's won something that's great. These teams are shooting for the playoff. They're not shooting to beat any individual one single game. And the way that's set up now, which I like overall. If you play a big game early and you lose it, or play a big game at any point, you have to look at the entire season, not just one single game. One game doesn't do it for me. And so they have an opportunity to bounce back, especially it's a non-conference, and you could choose to dummy it down if you want, so I appreciate them choosing not to.
Give us something entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I don't know if 17-10 is entertaining.
Miami 27-24 over Notre Dame, of the big showdowns. That one had a little more offense, was back and forth. Big plays, one-handed catches.
Yeah.
And a late field goal. In the Big 12, not a good weekend for Baylor, beaten by Auburn 38-24. Not good for Colorado, beaten at home by Georgia Tech 27-20. K-State, late touchdown to slip past North Dakota 38-35. Plenty of other teams pass test, those 3 in the Big 12. Colorado wasn't really lumped at the big group at the top, but there's certainly high expectations for Baylor and K-State, and off to bad starts.
It's K-State that's off to a bad start. That you won the game and you lost the other one by a short. What was the final? It was very close in that one.
Close, yeah.
That's a bad start? I don't know. Remains to be seen.
Tonight, Bill Belichick makes his debut. North Carolina playing TCU, 6 o'clock on ESPN. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah.
It's Snowden out the other way, weaving out of a tackle. He's got the first down. He jukes his way for a touchdown. Two-way sensation. Smith Snowden has arrived for Utah with a touchdown. Utah doing this. It's a good run defense the last couple of years. Open net, touchdown. Dampier flies it in there to Lander Barton. All the defensive guys involved. Snowden and Barton both with touchdowns. 4th and goal from the 2. Behind his tight ends, Dampier is in. Paying off the 4th down decision. 3-score lead for the Utes.
And Utah goes on to blow out UCLA 43-10. They run for 286 yards. Devon Dampier was 21 of 25 for 206. You were in the Rose Bowl watching this complete domination. When did you think it was over? They got the upper hand pretty quick, scoring on those first 3 possessions.
Oh, certainly by then.
Yeah.
If not earlier. Yeah. They just went right down the field with ease. They were going to dominate the line of scrimmage, and if you dominate the line of scrimmage, you're most likely going to win. So I thought it was over early. I started writing at KSLSports.com, which was posted about 10 hours after I wrote it, but what the heck. It was obvious. I mean, what needs to be said that wasn't seen?
Kyle Whittingham saying the O-line was as advertised. Thought the only thing left out was as he advertised, saying it was going to be the best in his 30 years.
We got that already.
Hammer away on those guys.
You were hammering away on that one.
Now Utah gets Cal Poly. So they'll play their money game next. DJ and PK.
Hashtag BYU.
Brock Fleming the snap. Tony Johnson is the holder. Here's the kick. It's blocked. And BYU trying to run it back here. Jack Kelly, who just made the defensive play, and now he does this. 50-plus yards on the blocked field goal return for the touchdown by Jack Kelly for BYU, and they're on the board first. Here is Bachmeier, pass out, it is caught, and it is Roberts for the touchdown. 4 touchdowns last year for Roberts, first of the 2025 campaign, and it's 13-0 Cougars. So successful. This trick play to Cody Hagan now, and Hagan heads up. Cody Hagan trying to take it to the house, and he will. Touchdown, BYU.
BYU with more than 600 yards of offense. They blow out Portland State 69-0. Bear Bachmeier makes his debut. Throwing and running for touchdowns, throwing for 3, rushing for 2. He was out at halftime, and BYU cruises to the win. Pretty much everything they wanted to see there in the opener.
I couldn't think of anything more. I thought Grizzly Bear was awesome. The Grizz, as advertised, the Grizz came through. Grizz is just going to get better and better and better. What level of better does he establish this season? That's the biggest question for this team, and we'll watch it unfold over the next 3 months.
Stanford coming up next, Saturday night, 8:15. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Utah State.
Hand off to Davis. Davis breaks it to the outside. Stiff arms him in and steps out of bounds. No, they're going to say he's gone. 10-5 touchdown, Utah State. Miles Davis takes it into the end zone for the score. Barnes sets up all day to throw. Waiting, dancing in the pocket. He'll take off. He'll throw deep. He's got a man wide open. Caught. Touchdown, Utah State. Brock Lane all by himself, and the Aggies get the score.
Utah State trailed briefly, but they end up beating UTEP by double digits, 28-16. Bryson Barnes throwing for 233 yards and a touchdown. Miles Davis, 131 yards rushing on just 8 carries. And Utah State wins their opener. Texas A&M coming up next. That was a pretty solid performance, PK. A couple things to work on.
Yeah, another team that has got to be extremely happy with the way things turned out. And they got that win, and now how good is this team going to be? How competitive can it be week to week in games in which it doesn't look like they're overmatching their opponent? And there's going to be several of those, and that's going to be fun to see.
Texas A&M coming up next Saturday in College Station. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
I just know from having the game plan against him, that is something that keeps you up at night when you're going against a player of his caliber. And now we feel like we've got a lot of other pieces around him that it's going to be that much more challenging for our opponents.
That is Matt LaFleur, Packers head coach, talking about the acquisition of Micah Parsons, raising hopes for Green Bay Packer fans everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Dak Prescott said he was relieved the Parsons situation was resolved, even though the all-pro defensive end was traded to Green Bay. He says, I'm not going to say we're better. We got to go out there and prove it. We had to prove it even if he was on the team, so I'm not going to say that by any means. Of course, getting quizzed on whether the trade improved the team. They don't have the draft picks yet, so in the short run, they don't really have everything they gave up for him. So, Cowboys did sign Pro Bowl corner Deron Bland to a 4-year, $92 million extension over the weekend. He had to be happy that Parsons didn't take all the money. Worked out for him. Chiefs are not expected to reach a deal with their top corner, Trent McDuffie. He'll play out his rookie deal with a salary just north of $2.6 million this season. McDuffie's 24 years old, widely considered to be Kansas City's second-best defender. He's been a starter since his rookie season. And Leroy Jordan, star linebacker for the Cowboys in the 70s when they won their first Super Bowl, passed away at the age of 84. Won a national title at Alabama under Bear Bryant, 5-time Pro Bowler with the Cowboys. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
Lakers star Luka Doncic tallied just the fourth triple-double in Eurobasket since 1995. He led Slovenia to an 86-69 win over Belgium. 26 points, 11 assists, 10 boards for the newly slim and trim Luka Doncic. A former NBA guard Jeremy Lin announced his retirement from professional basketball. Had his biggest moments with the New York Knicks. Had the Linsanity run. He's been playing in Taiwan most recently, where they just won the championship there. Had you thought about Jeremy Lin in a while?
No.
Been off center stage for a while.
I have not.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
And that's a shot toward the alley. Carlos in to score. It gets by the outfielders. Here comes Bregman rounding third. It goes all the way to the triangle. Another run in. Here comes Durant. He's trying to score. He's going to score all the way around.
And a shot into right field. Cruz on the run. That ball is going to get out of here. Home run into the bullpen. A line drive, grand slam home run on a 1-2 pitch. And Brandon Lau hitting his 28th home run of the year.
Smith drilled left field. It is gone. Will Smith, Captain Clutch, with a walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth inning.
Highlights around Major League Baseball. That was the Dodgers beating the Diamondbacks 5-4. Will Smith, pinch hit home run in the ninth to end that one. Padres fall to the Twins, so the Dodgers now have a 2-game lead in the National League West. Astros shut out by the Angels 3-0. Astros lead over the Mariners is down to 2 games in the AL West. Mariners beat the Guardians 4-2. Derek Screwball scattering 4 hits over 7 shutout innings. Tigers beat the Royals 5-0 in that one. And Walker Buehler, think he's got anything left with an ERA north of 5, PK?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Phillies added him after the Red Sox let him go. Boston, give an all-star closer, Aroldis Chapman, $13.3 million deal for 2026 and a vesting option for 27. He'll make another $13 million should he pitch at least 40 innings next season. Bees beat the Round Rock Express 4-2. They take 4 out of the 6 in the series. They are off today, and they open the series against El Paso tomorrow at home. Tomorrow at home. That's what's trending. Brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up, Shehan Jeyarajah joins us. 8 o'clock, CBS Sports National College Football writer is going to be here every Monday during the season. To look back on the weekend, Bronco Mendenhall, Aggie football coach, off to the 1-0 start, is here at 9 o'clock. DJ and PK, the question of the day is next.
It's game week for the Cougars, and the KSL Sports Zone is getting you ready for kickoff. It's back-to-back home games for the Cougars to start the season as BYU welcomes Stanford to LaBelle Edwards Stadium this Saturday. Listen all week long for the best coverage of Cougar football and your chance to win tickets to the game. Then catch college football Saturday game day at 10 a.m. with the post-game show immediately following the game on KSLSports.com. Your home for the best coverage of BYU football is live on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Join Hans and Scotty Wednesday for the Cougar Preview Show, brought to you by Beehive Meals. Question of the morning, the Cougars, the Utes, the Aggies, they all open the season with comfortable wins. What do you have to say for those victories? James says that's the whole idea of cupcakes. You're supposed to eat them, not let them eat you.
Yeah, I didn't know that UTEP was going to be a cupcake. I mean, Portland State's a bad team. You can spin it any which way. You can have all the respect in the world you want for the coaches, but they're a really bad team.
That one's a cupcake.
And the Utes ended up being a cupcake, but that's on the opponent. That's not on them. I mean, they destroyed them. You're playing a Power 4 program from the Big Ten. I know were the whatever you want to call it, the teammate that had to go with SC, but they stink. That's really bad, but that has nothing to do with Utah. Utah was absolute domination. There's no other way to describe it. It couldn't have been better. I can't think of anything that they reconvened this morning. Guys, we really need to work on this or that. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to go 12-0, but based off one game, there's nothing that they need to improve on. I mean, you can say, and they'll say, oh, you would always need to improve. Nobody plays. Yeah, I mean, they have to say that. We know what they're going to say.
They gave up 10 points.
They did
so
everything they needed
away.
to do.
Yeah.
There's nothing to nitpick. I mean, there's nothing that is worth even talking about. It was same thing with this week and probably next week, and we'll have to wait until we get 3 weeks from now, and they play up against Texas Tech at that point. Who we'll see. Texas Tech, I think, is going to be the beast of the conference over the next several years. Right now, they're very good, and that's going to be a tipping point, a telling point, whatever you want to say, as far as the season goes in the conference. But we're not there yet. I mean, it was fabulous, man. Even better than I expected. I thought UC Los Angeles would put up a little more fight, but they really didn't. You know, my wife went with me, and I told her I'll be down in the media room with my big head. Yeah, well, move your freaking camera then. If my head's that big, I'm going to sit where I'm supposed to sit, and I was right in the front row. So I got a few comments on that. That's your problem, not mine. And I told her, I said, just wait at the top of the tunnel, and I will see you there. And
was there anybody left? Or was she just standing there by herself?
No, that's where the players come out.
Oh, okay.
It's at the top of the tunnel.
So there were family and friends waiting.
Yeah, there was hundreds of people. And she said she heard some little kid say to his father as she was waiting, Dad, why are we so bad? I mean, that's what they're used to. 35,000 people. There's no energy. There's no passion for the program. They're an embarrassment. And Utah embarrassed them. It was really good performance by these guys. It was dominant, and I'm a little surprised it was that bad, but if you had told me, I don't know that I would have been that surprised, which doesn't make any sense. I know. They did everything that they needed to do. I mean, they were toying with them. It's as good an opener as they had. And I love to throw this stuff at you because you live in the history in the past. And so when it comes to sports, the best opener I've seen since. Now, I couldn't care less what the answer is, but I know you like that stuff.
I would probably go back to Texas A&M when they came in here in what turned out to be the Fiesta Bowl season.
Yeah.
They won big. I don't know what it was, 47-17 or something like that. And I remember talking to Liz Abel, the longtime sports information person, like, that was dominant. You think Utah's that good or A&M's that bad? And it's probably a little bit of both, but the Utes are really good again.
Really wise.
Well, they were coming off 10-2, so I remember they're really good again.
I knew we'd live in the past.
Well, you asked me a question about the past.
I know.
So.
No, I didn't. I actually did not.
I
said
the best
I
one
don't
since
know
when?
that, but I didn't ask you. No, I didn't say since when. It was the best opener since whenever. I don't know when it was, nor do I care, because I'm all about the 25 season.
Mark says, I won't lie. I miss seeing Utah play the Southern California schools.
Well, if you're going to beat them, you're going to miss them playing every team you beat. Yeah, there was no buzz there. But, I mean, you got what you're looking for, and you got the national reaction. Utah only has to do a little to get a ton of national reaction. Virtually every national media person is waiting to heap praise upon the Utes. All you got to do is give them something, and they will follow.
And they gave him something.
I've been saying this for years.
And it followed.
Yeah. Right.
David says BYU looked great against what could be the worst FCS team out there. Let's see what happens next week. Utah has an offense. The defense is good as well, but I don't think UCLA is any good. Sean Foster might be gone in 3 weeks, unless it's a money issue. My guess is he's already lost the locker room. I don't know how good UTEP is. They didn't look good. USU did and played a little better. Ton of mistakes. Weaver got blown out, which was pretty much expected, but they got their payday. James Madison rolling over Weber State.
I don't know that Deshaun Foster has lost anything because you have to have something first, and he's not going to get fired. In 3 weeks. He's going to get fired. I mean, they've just fired one after another. They have nothing going for that program.
Tom, hopefully all these Utah teams are going to have great seasons. I was very impressed with Dampier. BYU ran for almost 500 yards, and the pig farmer looked good up north. I can't wait for the Holy War. Go Utes!
BYU ran for almost 500 yards?
Seems a little on the high side.
It was 468.
Man.
He rounded up.
That's amazing.
Second highest rushing total in program history.
The best opener since I can't remember.
Best? I don't want to go best.
Portland State.
No, not the best. See, that you have to entice him to go back and look it up. It's the best since.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
So then,
best since, go.
Yeah, right. So then he gets all excited about that and goes to town and tells you about what happened 15 years ago. Yeah. I mean, it was a worthless game. But teams play it, so there you go. It was good for the Grizz to get out there. The Grizzly Bear got out there, and whatever butterflies he had got to get rid of them. So there's that. And what does it mean remains to be seen. And that rhymes, and that's really cool.
Poetry on a Labor Day morning.
So away we go.
Frank says they all look good. Let's wait till we get to conference play. Might look a lot different then. BYU looked a bit lost in the first few minutes, but then they found their way. Utah may have surprised some people. UCLA is still bad. And USU is going to be fine with Bronco. Yeah, the BYU lost their way. There's one possession. They don't get out there for the second possession because of the fumbled punt. And then the next possession, they don't get out there because of the block kick and the return. The defense goes back on the field again. I mean, they weren't out there. Yeah, the first possession. But after that, it was one touchdown after another. They basically scored every fourth time they snapped the ball. It was one possession to the slow start. One punt.
The coaches thought Bachmeier looked good, and that's the most important thing. Offensive coaches thought he looked good, and I think that's what matters the most. That's the number one and only level of importance that you take, is they thought he looked good. And other than that, it was a caliber that you don't want to embarrass them. You don't want to say they suck, but they suck. We can say they suck. I don't know the coaches. I don't care about them. That's a bad Portland State team. There's no recruiting base up there. And
they're 2 games in, and they still haven't scored a point.
I mean, it's who are they going to draw from? I mean, you're going to go from California all the way up there if you're that level of player. There's not that many players in the great Northwest that they can line them up and play. And if you're from California, there's a million other places you can go. So I don't know why they would think that they would have any form of success anytime, whenever. But they're on the schedule. You beat the crap out of them and move on. Stanford, it's the same thing with Utah. You schedule a former Pac-12 team, it's up to them to be good. It's not up to you. If they're bad, then drill the crap out of them, like the Utes did.
Yep.
You can't complain about their opponent. That you can complain their opponent sucks, but I guess you can't complain about them scheduling that opponent. It's not like they went, hey, let's go get these guys because we know they'll be really bad, and we know we'll be breaking in a transfer quarterback, so it'll set up nicely for us and a new coordinator. I mean, you couldn't have predicted that unless the thing was scheduled last spring. And the Utes went there, drilled them, and that's all that matters. And anything else you want to say is on the opponent. I mean, they're bad, and you looked about as good as you can look. It went about as well as could possibly be expected.
Now, can you do that 11 more times?
Probably not, because I don't think that I'd pick anybody to go 12-0. If you did, then you'll be in the playoff, and you'll be expected to win at least one game, and maybe you're just that good. Maybe Dampier is the best type of quarterback to run your offense with Jason Beck that you could possibly have. And these next 2 years are just going to be golden. I'm going to sit here right now, check back in 27, at the end of 27, going into 28, because if you do that, you'd be playing in the 28. Man, that would be just in 27, I should say. That would be amazing. And maybe that's what we have here. It would be fun to see. Wouldn't mind seeing it.
Get on a roll.
Yeah. But I think we're just going to have to wait until the conference season. And then you can't complain about the conference schedule. They don't do it. It's not set for them. And there'll be plenty of tests in the conference schedule. And if there's no tests, then good on you.
Then you're awesome, and you rolled over Texas Tech and Iowa State and whoever else.
And Scally will have a nice jump start for next season. Great. I would love to see it. It's fun to cover winners. I'd love to see both of them be undefeated when they go in October and play each other in Provo. Let's sign off on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get the hype train rolling for the rivalry game.
Yeah. And then have a rematch in Fort Worth or Arlington. Yeah.
Big 12 title game.
That would be even better.
And then best of 3 in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I doubt that. That's stretching it. But sure. That would be one whale of a time we would all have. That would be my dream scenario. I would wish for that every year as long as I'm in this job. After I'm out of this job, I won't care. I won't care nearly as much. It'd be fun for the folks. I mean, I got so many people that I know that one guy down the street roots for this team, the other one roots for that team. So I'll always follow it.
Even when you're retired, you'll still know. I mean, these coaching staffs don't seem to change that much. You'll know there'll be former players doing something.
You told me never to mention the retire word, and there you are mentioning it. You tell me, don't say that. Don't put that in anybody's mind, and then you just go ahead and say it.
Yeah, it's going to be 20 years from now.
You just said it, and you told me for the last several years, don't mention that word.
Yeah. Well, you just brought it up, so
No, I could be fired. I didn't say I could take another job. I could go back and use my teaching education certificate.
That would be spectacular.
I mean, come on. I did not bring that up. You brought it up.
If you use your teaching certificate, it's just going to be so you can coach and put on the uni again, right?
No, it's going to be to impact and mold and shape young minds.
And coach.
That's the way you think. That's not the way I think. No. That ship has sailed. No, I was thinking when I get run. Better people than me have gotten run, so why wouldn't I get run? I would never mention that word, and you just mentioned it. Way to throw me out on September 1st, 2025. Jeez.
Cougars, Utes, and Aggies all open the season with comfortable wins. What do you have to say for them? Scott says, good work. Happy Labor Day. Scott's very upbeat.
It should be. If you're a fan in either of these three teams, any of these three teams, you should be upbeat right now. You should be encouraged. I can't see why you wouldn't be.
Well, there's probably somebody out there saying they didn't beat one bowl team in the group. None of those teams are even going to get to 500.
Okay.
Try to downgrade the opposition.
It's not about the opposition. It's about you. How did you look in this game? That's what matters the most. That's what we got going on here. That's what it's about. If I'm Utah State, the one thing Bronco Mendenhall brings is stability and a foundation, and he was able to show it right from the start. You know, I conversations that I had over the weekend. It was, I'm glad we got past that bleep show of recent years. And, we know what Bronco's about. He's about business. He's about doing the things that are going to bring you success. And he's going to do it in a business-like way. He doesn't hype things. That's not the way he talks. He's not a rally the troops, extrinsic motivator that, wow, man, we'll run through the brick wall. That's not what you get. You get more of a clinical approach to what you're trying to accomplish, what your objectives are. And I had a couple guys at BYU several years back. I wish he would just get all fired up and get these guys riled, blah, blah, but that's not the way he does things. He takes the measured approach. If we do A, B, and C, we'll get the results we're looking for. That's the way he speaks. And if you buy into that, then he's really good. If you don't and you want the rah-rah and all that stuff and, Kalani dancing as he's coming out on the field, well, okay, fine. That's what you're going to get. But that's not who Bronco is. He's not going to do that. And in a way, as I look at Utah State's program, that's not what they need right now. They've had a lot of change, a lot of turmoil. They need a settling effect. And he brings that most likely about as well as anybody that they could possibly hire, combined with the local knowledge that he has of all the things that go into coaching in the state of Utah. Obviously, the other coaches have it. They've lived it. And Broncos lived it too. So he was an excellent candidate. Even though he was not the number one candidate for the job, somebody else was, I can tell you that, and that's a fact, that I don't necessarily know he was the right man, but he certainly was a right hire. And Cebu makes that hire and goes off where she had Maryland at some assistant athletic director job, which means that she was looking to jump ship, just like it seemed every out-of-town athletic director that they hire. Maybe they'll catch on. That's not the way to go. I don't know. Maybe they'll figure that one out, or they don't care. We'll just keep adding
going through people.
Yeah. So good for her. It's great. So we'll fire it up for them. Utah, yeah. The miserability of the last 2 years, it's gone. It's over.
The sun is shining once again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And BYU, get Grizzly Bear up to speed and see what you got. I don't think that a freshman, first-year freshman, is going to win the conference, but that is so far away. That's December. That's practically out of fall, and we haven't even gotten to fall yet. You're a week away from fall turning into winter when that can be determined, and we haven't even we're still 3 weeks away from the official designation of fall. So that seems like light years down the road,
play a
it?
September football game before you worry about the Big 12 championship game.
But if I'm Utah, we're back. But I never thought you left. And I know the national media is going to jump on it. There's no program in this country that's going to get more praise than Utah when it does well. Everybody wants to act like, hey, man, I know something you don't, and I know about that Utah program. Well, everybody knows about that Utah program. You keep telling us that they don't know, but we all know.
That was a better take before the first 4 trips to the Pac-12 title game.
But they still do it.
I know.
And it's sort of like, look at me. It's like, I support women's sports. Wow, aren't you special? Look at you. That's why guys tell you they support women's sports, so you could be, look at me. I like all kinds of music. Aren't you special? That Utah program, you got to keep an eye on that. Well, aren't you special? That's what they're saying, right? That's exactly what they're saying.
I like all kinds of music. It's so eclectic.
Yes. You name it.
I was listening to some jazz the other night.
Oh, jazz. Yes. Spyro Gyra. Wow. You are something. Man. Look at you. You got the separation you were looking for.
I had a friend once who heard that. He said, number one, you were not. And number two, if you were, it was Kenny G, and that's not jazz anyway. That's just schlock. Schlock.
I got Kenny G's Christmas.
You do?
CD. Yes, it's very good.
Schlock.
I play it At Christmas.
No, when's the last time you used the word schlock?
Maybe never. Maybe Shuck, that quarterback. That's about it. That's as close as I can get. But they'll do that for Utah because they're going to act like you don't know and they're telling you something. Well, if you followed college football enough, Utah is a known commodity. It is not a new story. Each team, each year is a new story, but the program is not a new story. It's just not, man.
Running the ball and playing defense again. Who'd have guessed?
Right. And, hey, Kyle, you're teaching an old dog new tricks. Normally, he moves guys from offense to defense. Now he's moving guys from defense to offense.
Let's hear it for Lander Barton and Smith Snowden.
This is crazy. Yeah, Smith Snowden's got a little Travis Hunter in him in terms of, man, what didn't he do? I asked him, I said, were you tired? And he admitted a little bit.
Yeah, he was going to try to tap dance around it, but then he just gave up.
Well, he's an honest kid. He's a great interview. A lot of personality. Saw him last week. They have the media thing every Monday going into the football facility. And as I'm standing there walking on the sidewalk, he's opening the door, walking out, comes right up to you, gives me bones. How's it going? You know, that's just he is the complete package, and he has got an endearing personality. If you're around him at all, you think, oh, this kid is something. He's a really nice human being. I hope he does well out on that football field. And he is doing well. It's cool that Kyle's using him. And you might say, oh, well, that's because they don't have the playmakers. I don't care what they got. What they don't have, I care what they have. And they've got guys. And I saw Lander Barton catch 1,000,000 passes in high school. He's a great athlete. I've been saying that since he's been in the 6th grade. So to have him catch a pass for a touchdown, absolutely. Yeah, no surprise. But it's fun to see. Open it up, man. I mean, for Kyle, time is short. Even if he comes back next year, it's still short. So go out having a whole heck of a lot of fun. And being on that sideline Saturday in Pasadena, it was a whole heck of a lot of fun. Simple as that.
When we come back, I thought there was some telling body language in the post-game press conference, and you were sitting there right in the front row. I wonder if you thought the same thing. We will get to that next. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
It's game week for the Utes, and the KSL Sports Zone is getting you ready for kickoff. After a season-opening battle at UCLA, the Utes return home to the Hill for a battle against Cal Poly. Listen all week long for the best coverage of Utah football. Then catch college football Saturday, game day at 10 a.m. with the post-game show immediately following the game on KSLSports.com.
Let's go then. Let's go, baby.
Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is live on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's been 2 years, man.
Artist of the day, Jimmy Buffett, passed away on this day in 2023. Artist of the day brought to you by Live Nation. For all the live concerts events in 2025, check out livenation.com.
He sings a song called Come Monday, which he jokes was one of his 2.4 hits that made the top 40.
2.4, huh?
Yeah, he jokes about it. And it said, heading up to San Francisco for the Labor Day weekend show. I was in San Francisco once over Labor Day weekend. Sang that song many times. Had to be at a thing at Stanford for a few days. And kept thinking of that tune. And so he did die 2 years ago today. I remember it well. Remember it sadly, not fondly.
DJ and PK, you are back not from Northern California, but from Southern California, where you were at the Rose Bowl. You were sitting in the front row there at the post game. And the words Kyle Whittingham used were pretty familiar. We've heard some of those quotes. You got to plug in different names. But as far as, does the summary of the game and what he was looking for and, turnover free, minimal penalties, ran the ball, the O-line, and a lot of stuff he always talks about. But watching him, I thought the adrenaline was still flowing through him in that postgame. I thought that's what he wants to see from a football team. I think that's what he thought he was going to see from this football team. And even though they were just coming off the field from a game, the way he was twitching up there, I thought he wants another game. he wants to play another game right now. He cannot wait to see this team go again. He wants more of that. Straight into his veins. Hit him. Let's go. Do you get that level of anticipation / confidence from him?
I believe he's confident. I didn't get that he's looking to play immediately. I thought this is who he is. He usually post-game has a very accurate assessment, good or bad, as far as, or both, because sometimes there's a lot of good and there may be a few bads. In this particular game, there was no bad, so he didn't have to go through that. But he's willing to assess the game as he sees it freshly on his mind and recite it as he saw it. And I thought there was that level, but, off-season conversations, sure, there's a lot of excitement and a lot of enthusiasm, which then leads the word confidence to be in that mix. And I don't think any of that has changed. I think that this is something that he has seen out of Dampier. It's amazing. One transfer has just brought in so much light to the team and given it such a boost that it needed, that they believe that they're right back to where they were, competing for national rankings, competing for conference titles, competing for big bowl games. Now, this will be able to compete for the playoff. And the great thing about it is if you take care of business all the way, you don't need some committee in some boardroom in Dallas to vote you in. You will be in. They will determine a seed, but that's sort of irrelevant there. If you want to win a national title, you're going to have to play the best teams. If you're just looking to eke out a playoff win, then that's important. But I think this team isn't just looking to eke out a playoff win. This team is looking to see how far it can go, how much it can be tested. And so I think he felt that all along. This is what they felt when Rising was healthy, and this is what we saw when Rising was healthy. And they believe that they can accomplish it. And I think right now I believe it too.
Really no reason not to after what you watched for 3 hours in the Rose Bowl. That was...
Yeah, I don't know that I needed to watch it, though.
Just figure with a healthy quarterback, it's going to happen. Because when they've had healthy quarterbacks, this is what's been happening.
Dampier. I mean, Barnes was healthy. It's got to be Dampier. He's healthy for a while anyway. So I think with this system, with Jason Beck having a familiarity with the kid, it would be like bringing Mahomes and Andy Reid over to the Cowboys. The Cowboys would feel a lot better about what they got going. Proven track record. How many times can you have a proven track record together?
It's an unusual story.
It doesn't happen. It only happens now in this.
In this era.
It'll be more usual.
No.
But it's still a little bit in its infancy stage, and teams have realized that if you have that need, and Utah had the need, and the need has been filled, and it was filled by Beck, who obviously has great ties to the state and is quite familiar with living here, and Dampier played his high school ball in Phoenix, and figuring, well, this is a major step up. I assume he's getting more money than he got in New Mexico, so it was a no-brainer. And here you are. And now they have all the other things that they need. The things, the staples of the program haven't changed. They're still there, right? And now we have them with somebody who can deliver something that they haven't had for the last couple of years, and away you go.
Coming up next, CBS Sports national college football writer Shehan Jeyarajah will get his take on week one, not just for the locals, but for the Big 12. That's next. Bronco Mendenhall's here at 9 o'clock. Stay with us on The Zone. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. It is time to talk with CBS Sports national college football writer Shehan Jeyarajah. Joins us once again on the show. Good morning. How are you? After an almost full weekend of football, I know you got a Monday night game to go.
It's been a great one. Thanks so much for having me.
The locals all win here. Utah, BYU, Utah State. Everybody is in a good mood. Now, some of this could have been predictable, right? BYU, Portland State, no surprise there. But what do you think of Utah thrashing UCLA? And does it say more about the Bruins or more about the Utes?
I think it says more about Utah, and frankly, this is obviously what was expected and hoped of this team. I really thought that they had a good chance to go into UCLA and put them away, but I was very, very impressed by how dynamic the offense looked. The defense I expected. I thought that they'd throw a whole lot at Nico Iamaleava, and he looked terrible out there, frankly. But I think that offensively, you look at this unit, the thing that stood out to me, of course, more than anything else, was just the way that the offensive line played. It was everything that we expected. They were sealing every single hole. They were stopping every single rusher. It was one of the easiest offensive game plans that I feel I've seen in a little while at Utah. And I was also pretty impressed with Devon Dampier as a passer as well. That was kind of my big question coming into the year. And I was really encouraged by the early signs. Now, there are going to be tougher tests, certainly, but I think that this is kind of a reintroduction for Utah and proof that, yes, they will be in that Big 12 title conversation.
Yeah, no argument there. I agree with everything you said. How about that Big 12 conversation? Has anything happened that has made you change your mind, or you still thinking the same teams that you had picked all summer are still going to be in that mix?
Well, I think that we can get Kansas State out of that conversation after how they've played in their first two games. They, of course, need a late touchdown in the final minute to beat North Dakota. Not North Dakota State, by the way, North Dakota. So I'm deeply disappointed in that team. And offensive line-wise, I knew that they'd have some problems, but it's really the defense where they've been kind of miserable, honestly. And so I think that Kansas State, I don't want to overreact and say that they're going to be this year's Oklahoma State, but I do think that this is a team that will very much be in the middle of the Big 12 instead of at the top. And, you start looking at their schedule, too, especially with the struggles that they've had. If they had lost that game against an FCS opponent, just getting to bowl eligibility would have suddenly become a really tall task. They play, they still have 9 games remaining against power conference opponents, of course, all in the Big 12. So very, very disappointed with Kansas State at this point. I think that Baylor, certainly I'm a little less high on than I was coming into the year just because of the struggles that they had defending the run against Auburn. I'm not as down on them as Kansas State, certainly, but they probably move more into my second group than my first. But, the other teams, Arizona State, Texas Tech, I think Utah firmly moves into that top group. So it's mostly the same teams, but I do think that we have learned at least a little bit about some of these contenders.
How much did you learn about ASU and Texas Tech? Money games right out of the gate. Is there something you saw in those games you can really count on?
Well, I think one thing for me in that Texas Tech game is that, my goodness, they just jumped all over their opponent. They just put them away halfway through the first quarter. The game was over, and it's what you hoped for. But I think that Texas Tech has struggled to live up to those moments at times. Now, again, I don't think that you can say that they've arrived or anything like that because of what they did, but they could have scored 100 points if they wanted to. And I think that also their pass rush looked as fearsome as everybody expected. Arizona State actually kind of had an inconsistent game against Northern Arizona. I will say, that's a little bit of I don't want to call it a rivalry game, but, Northern Arizona definitely gets up for that game. So, I don't also want to overreact too much to it, but I think the big question for me is just going to be, okay, defensively, I think that Arizona State, I had high expectations for them. It was a little inconsistent. So, I'd say that I didn't learn a whole lot about them from that game.
Yeah, and NAU is a decent team at their level. I really believe that Texas Tech over the next 5 years, maybe not this year, but they're going to be in the mix this year. But I wouldn't surprise me over the next 5 years if they're winning 3 out of the 5. It seems like, man, they're getting big recruits. They got the big money, and we're always looking for a team in this conference to emerge as an Oklahoma and Texas when both of those programs had it going on in their glory years in the Big 8/Big 12. Right now, I wouldn't be all that surprised if it were Texas Tech. How about that?
I think what's fascinating is that, ironically, I think you can make the comparison to Utah a little bit. They are investing so much in the trenches. They got a commitment from another five-star offensive lineman in the class of 2027. They have the existing one in 2026. They also have the commitment from an edge rusher in 2027. And I want to be clear too. They are working under the cap. They are planning for the cap. But what they're doing is they are, compared to other teams, much more aggressive with the contracts that they're willing to give out to freshman play or to high school recruits. And so, because again, when you look at the teams that win big historically, they're the teams that are dominant in the trenches. And that's also historically where Big 12 teams have kind of been behind the eight ball. You look at that Baylor-Auburn game, for example, where you have an NFL offensive line against a little bit of a lackluster defensive line. Well, Texas Tech, I think, has really risen to that occasion, especially in the recruiting world. I mean, they did it, of course, in the transfer portal this year with their pass rush coming in, David Bailey, Romello Height, Lee Hunter. But I think that they are trying to build that sort of organization heading forward. Now, the question becomes, I think in so many ways this is being ahead of the curve to maybe overpay a little bit for trench depth instead of the sort of glamour positions. Well, teams are going to copy them soon. So it's going to be interesting to see what their next move is as well.
Well, there's all the drama inside the Big 12, but then there's the Big 12 versus the rest of the world, and can the Big 12 get more than one team into the playoff? 4 of the top 8 teams lost. I don't think we should overreact to that because a lot of the top teams were willing to test themselves and play somebody who's perceived to be good. We'll see what turns out to be true, but play ranked teams, and so somebody's got to lose when Miami plays Notre Dame or Texas and Ohio State square off. How much room do you think the losses for the top 8 falling creates for Big 12 teams to move up, and how much do you think Big 12 teams are going to have to put together 5, 6, 7 wins if they're going to move up?
Yeah, I think that it definitely creates some opportunity. I think that especially, I think of a team like Iowa State. I think that Iowa State, after beating Kansas State and crushing their FCS opponent, I think that they're going to have a chance to maybe move way up. I expect Utah to be back in the rankings for the first time in a little while. And I think it does create some opportunities. And the big thing for me, I talked about this a little bit this offseason, but the last 2 years, the Big 12 has really only had 1 or 2 top 15 teams, but that's been pretty unusual historically. If you go back in the playoff era, like most years, even putting Texas and Oklahoma aside, there have been 2 or 3 teams in that top 15 group and in that top 10 group. I think that we're a lot closer to getting that back, especially seeing the performance of a team like Utah. I think that they have a chance to move into that. Arizona State, of course. So I do think that this creates some openings and opportunity, and this is one of the most open seasons when you talk about playoff, national championship, Heisman that I can remember in a very long time. And I think that does create a lot of opportunities for Big 12 teams if they execute to ultimately make it back.
How about in your home state? Is everybody in a state of panic over Arch Manning in Texas?
Well, I think that a lot of people who maybe don't know how good Ohio State really is are like, well, is this guy a bust? Is this guy not as good as if he just a famous name and kind of propped up by that? And look, I think that obviously Arch looked terrible in that first game. His final numbers, he ended with 170 yards after hitting on a couple of passes in the fourth quarter. But let's be clear about this. He had 38 yards and an interception through 3 quarters. One of the worst quarterback games at Texas in a very long time. But there's a couple pieces of this, right? One, Ohio State has a really good game plan, and especially I think that if you go back and watch some of Arch last year, he is such a tremendous deep ball passer. He is a big game hunter. He wants to go out there and go down the field, and he's one of the best in the country at doing that. But even last year, again, he's just not as used to throwing the short to intermediate stuff. And I think that really stood apart. I mean, you go back to that first play of the game. They roll him out. He has the tight end, and he just is a little late with it. He's kind of a little poor mechanically, and it ends up going into the dirt. And, like, that's just a play that you can't have as the starting quarterback for the number one team in the country. And the irony is, I mean, this is really where Quinn Ewers was pretty good, was he did the little stuff and the easy stuff, quote unquote, well. Well, I think that Arch, again, you know, he just hasn't done it against anywhere near this level of competition before. And so I think that was always going to be an adjustment. And then you also, again, throw in the confusing looks that he was getting from Matt Patricia, Ohio State's defensive coordinator. And so it's not going to be as hard as this again for the rest of the season, but also, like, I think that they've really got to drill his short and intermediate stuff when he plays against some of the Group of Five competition in the next couple of weeks.
There were some low-scoring games out there. Obviously, 14-7 in that one, 17-10, LSU Clemson. Some of the games had decent scores. They were low-scoring for 2 or 3 quarters and then got ramped up late. Do you think defense is surging ahead of offense? Do you think this is all part of the transfer portal? Do you think it's just a small sample size and at the end of the year the average team will score 30 points in the average game? How's this going to play out?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like defense is back a little bit in college football, but I think that there's a couple factors going into it. One, LSU Clemson, of course, you know, you have 2 of the best quarterbacks in the country, but there's a lot of turnover at that position this year, right? C.J. Carr for Notre Dame, Arch Manning and Julian Sayin in that Texas-Ohio State game. Like, so many of the top contenders in the country right now have new first-year quarterbacks, and I think that kind of that's always going to help a defense more when you have an inexperienced player coming in, and I think they've taken full advantage. But the other thing that I'll say is that I think that you look at the top contenders right now, especially maybe the let's call them the second-tier contenders, the LSUs, for example. They've invested a lot on the defensive side of the ball over the last year or so. Like, I think that, you know, you look at LSU specifically, they brought in 3 or 4 guys who have been major starters at the power conference level for multiple years to try to fix that secondary. And I think it pays off in a huge way under defensive coordinator Blake Baker. I think you look at, you know, again, with Ohio State, they've always been a great defense, but, you know, they're further ahead than maybe we expected. Texas has historically, like, the irony about Texas under Steve Sarkisian is that they've been an incredible defensive team with an all right offense. And I think that, you know, they're almost one who set the tone. So I think that you look around the sport right now, I mean, we just haven't seen the 2019 LSU, 2020 Alabama, that level of offense in a little while. And I think we're kind of starting to reach a point where, hey, you know what? Yeah, defenses are beating offenses right now.
What do you anticipate looking for with Belichick tonight? It's funny, TCU opens against Dion a couple years ago and now gets Belichick here. It seems like they're in a position to get all this attention against a big-time name. So I'm wondering, how do you think it might play out?
Yeah, and actually the day after Belichick was hired, I gave Sonny Dykes a call, and I was like, you know, what did you learn about that, and how are you going to handle this different? And he kind of straight up told me, he's like, we did not handle that moment very well at all against Deion Sanders, and we maybe got a little lost in the hype and attention of the game. And so, you know, I think it's funny. I think that maybe they're a little more prepared this time around because they went through that experience. But, I mean, this is going to be like it's funny, and I mean I'm sure it probably would drive Bill Belichick crazy if he paid much attention to it, that he's kind of getting Deion Sanders comparisons, but like that's the only sort of point of reference that you have for something like this, of just the level of celebrity coming in, the level of name coming in. You know, I know that Pete Thamel just put out a tweet like Michael Jordan's going to be at the game tomorrow, obviously North Carolina grad, and like it's crazy what's happening. And so, you know, on the football side of things, I really like the quarterback they brought in, Gio Lopez from South Alabama. The rest of the roster is kind of an enigma to me. You know, this was a team last year that was very, very poor defensively. It's the main reason that Mac Brown isn't back. They added through the portal. They've got a couple of corners coming over from Washington who played for Steve Belichick last year that they feel really good about. You know, but offensively, they lost, obviously, Omar Hampton to the NFL. They lost their left tackle, Howard Sampson, to Texas Tech. I don't necessarily know what they have from a talent perspective. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing that I'm just going to be keeping an eye on is, one, what is this roster and how cohesive was Michael Lombardi able to make of a roster? And two, again, does it look like a roster that's poised to compete at the college level? Because, again, Bill Belichick and this staff, they're used to dealing with, 30-year-old men, and it's just going to be a different kind of challenge dealing with 19-year-olds.
Next week in the Big 12, a couple of 2-0 teams have interesting matchups. Number 22, Iowa State's hosting Iowa, who they've really struggled with at home for a while now. And Kansas is 2-0 going to Missouri. How's it going to go for the Big 12 in those games?
Yeah, two fantastic games. I'm really excited about what I've seen from Iowa State so far. And I'll tell you what, Iowa in their opener didn't look all that great for a while. They have a new quarterback in Mark Gronowski from South Dakota State who's a really good player, but his top target, Reese Vanderzee, suffered a freak injury at the end of camp. Apparently he was just walking up the stairs and then stepped wrong and broke his foot, essentially. So just a weird situation there. But their passing offense only had 44 yards in their opener, and certainly Iowa State will be able to take advantage of something like that happen. So I've got Iowa State going into that one. This Kansas-Missouri game is fascinating to me, and I say that for a couple of reasons. One, obviously the Big 12 versus SEC thing. Anytime that you get those opportunities, it's always good to take advantage. Missouri, I think, has shown, especially on the lines, showed some flaws last week, and Kansas has looked fantastic in their first two games. Now, Wagner, of course, this past week, but against Fresno State, they looked like a big-time offense. They looked like the kind of offense that we saw from them maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and it was really exciting to see Jalen Daniels have so much chemistry with his receivers and make stuff happen. So I think that, look, Missouri is definitely the favorite coming into this game. They are, they're the more talented team. They're really good on the defensive line. So I think, though, that there's a potential pickup opportunity for Kansas if they're able to play well, if they don't make mistakes, if they can really get after Bo Perbula with the pass rush. So I think that, I think that Iowa State will beat Iowa, but I think that Missouri will probably have an edge over Kansas, but it's definitely going to be close enough in a very, very, by the way, historically relevant game. This is the first Missouri-Kansas game we've had in a little while. I think that this could potentially have some fireworks.
Yeah, they need to be playing that more often. Those are two rivals separated by conference realignment, and it's a game people want to see, and scalpers are getting big money for tickets, the sellout crowd. College football, what are you doing?
I know. I'm hoping that especially as we start to adjust schedules a little bit, that we do get back to playing some of these games because, again, even in my backyard, right? SMU TCU, that game's ending. It's just really unfortunate that we're starting to lose some of these things that make college football so great.
He's Shehan Jeyarajah. He joins us every week here. CBS Sports National College Football writer, wrapping up the weekend full of games. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you so much for having me.
You can read him at cbssports.com. DJ and PK, Bronco Mendenhall, Aggie football coach, off to a 1-0 start after the win over UTEP. He joins us at 9 o'clock right here on The Zone.
It's game week for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone is getting you ready for kickoff. It's the Aggies versus the Aggies this Saturday as Utah State hits the road for a battle against Texas A&M. Listen all week long for the best coverage of Aggie football. Then catch all the play-by-play action, beginning with the Aggie pregame show this Saturday morning at 9:30. Your exclusive home for Aggie football is live on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Before you take off for a weekend to recall the whole year, I want you to nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at KSLSports.com/contest and listen to every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week. And it's sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. All right, PK, you're back from a weekend of traveling. You went down to Los Angeles, California. Beautiful Pasadena.
Okay, you're a white guy. It's Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Know who you are. Stay in your lane.
Los Angeles, California. So, humor, stories, comedy, bizarreness. I just go to airports, get on airplanes, and it's just so routine and so boring. And you always have weird, funny, odd, goofy stuff happen. You run into celebrities and people behave bizarrely. The wackiness seems to follow you. And I look around the airport, I see none of it.
Yeah, it was pretty basic on that one, that front. In the Rose Bowl, in the press room, you go out through a door, turn left, you go to the restroom, right? Well, in the restroom, they have the live feed of the local announcers, the radio guys, right? And so it was deep in the second half that probably Utah scored, and I'm not going to miss anything. I'm going to be able to go to the bathroom and
you go to the bathroom, and even if you do miss anything, you can hear the local radio broadcast so you know what happened.
And so they're talking about things that happened during a ball game, and it must have been the color guy said, they make a couple of plays, and the complexion of this game is just completely different.
What? In the second half?
So I put my index finger in my left ear and I make sure that, because I did a lot of boogie boarding, and make sure that I didn't get my ear stomped up with a bunch of goo, and that I actually heard. He said, yeah, there's some pass, which I had no knowledge of that I could recollect. If that ball's caught, this is a completely different story.
So my analysis of this game would be that didn't really tell the story of the game. Your wife waiting for you to finish with the media stuff, and for her waiting in an area where friends and family are waiting for players.
Top of the tunnel.
Right, top of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And overhearing the kids saying, Dad, why are we so bad?
Yeah.
That one resonates with me a little more.
Yes. Yeah.
If there's a team out there that wants to go woulda, coulda, shoulda, I would say I would go with Texas with the acknowledgement of it would have been ugly, but yeah, you could have. Like Ohio State got an ugly win, but it's a win, so they'll figure it all out. Texas, there is much gnashing of teeth because it was an ugly loss.
Yeah.
But, they had 4th and 1. They punched it in the second quarter. You had 4th and 1 in the third, and you didn't.
4th and goal from the 1.
Right.
Not 4th and 1.
4th and goal. Yeah, 4th and goal at the 1, and they punched it in. You had 4th and goal at the 1 you did. Their wide receiver made a juggling catch on a tough catch. He was well covered. He made a juggling catch. Your wide receiver, well covered, had the ball hit him in the hands, and he dropped it. So if you're looking for how you lost the game, now none of that goes to you had 38 yards passing after 3 quarters. It was going to be ugly, but at least you could have won it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Whereas with UCLA, it was ugly, and there was nothing you could do to win it. Yeah.
No. But if they would have caught that pass, a completely different complexion.
Yeah, it really didn't feel like
There's
it.
nothing bright that you can spin from that. Yeah, that just made me laugh.
No, and there's 35,000 people, and a bunch of them were Ute fans, and there's 35,000 people announced in the crowd, and you get why there's apathy towards the program. There's just been a whole bunch of mediocre to bad football for not completely, but for the better part of 25 years.
Oh, I know. Shocking. Yeah, absolutely.
They've had a few good years. I mean, they've had some 8-9, maybe even a 10-win season.
Yeah, I think Jim Moore had it.
Jim Moore did.
Yeah,
but there's been a lot of 5-7, 7-5 kind of stuff.
And they haven't had one here recently.
And it's LA. You got to win big to get noticed.
Right.
Other people are winning big, and there's a lot of teams. If you don't win big, you're just caught up in the.
Well, compete. And most folks there think, well, wait a second, how can Utah do it? And we are, look around. We're in the glamour spot. I don't think it's the glamour spot anymore. I think it's more of Californians thinking it's the glamour spot. Sure, it's fun to go to. I don't know about living there, and I did live there. But they got nothing going, absolutely nothing going. And it reminds me of Colorado before Deion Sanders. And it's so dead. I've been in both environments.
And they remind you of each other.
Yeah.
Acres of concrete.
Yeah, just a dead atmosphere. And which shame. Utah sucks for them, but who cares? Utah took advantage of it and just dominated start to finish and did everything that they did and that they needed to do. And this program right now has as much confidence as it had during the Cam Rising 2 seasons. That's something that if you talk about feeling stuff, and I look for that. I talk about body language and feel what the mindset is, and I believe right now that everybody in this program match what Rising brought. Dampier has brought.
As far as the energy, not anything else, but like the energy and the confidence that flows from their performances, given how good everybody else around them is. Everybody else knows they're good, but it's the most important position in the sport. You got to get out there and you got to be good there.
Yeah. And
not turning to walk-ons, first-year freshmen who just aren't prepared to play at that level right now.
Right. Yeah,
One day, who knows, but not this week.
No. I mean, yeah. It's more along the lines of you need to develop. Well, Dampier's already developed.
Yep.
And he has that confidence. He has that swag. And he's not a boastful kid by any stretch if you listen to him, man. But I continue to be extremely impressed with him. It's not about him. It's about winning games. I mean, I buy it completely. I know a lot of them say it, but I buy this. Whether he completes 200 yards of passing, 200 yards of rushing, or completes 80 yards of passing and 75 yards of rushing, and they win the game, he's fine with it, man. He just wants to help this team win. And I know that's a trite thing to say, but I really believe that's true. I think now they think that any game that they play, they're going to be able to win. And I do think, obviously, that they go 3-0 in the conference. And
you mean in the non-conference?
Non-conference, or 3-0 in the conference, but I was speaking non-conference, and get to Texas Tech, and unless something strange happens, and it could, but I don't anticipate it, that they will believe that they can win, and that's what Rising was able to instill. Now, once he went down, that changed everything, and he did go down multiple times. We understand that. Dampier, I know a lot of guys are talking about, oh, man, he needs to get out of bounds, get down. Well, he did slide. And I don't think
Nobody wants to see the Utah quarterback get his helmet popped off again. Just don't do that. I thought there were other plays where he made. That was a big hit.
If you're playing not to get hurt, you're not going to be effective.
That was a big hit. And Kyle said there were I thought he said there were 3 of them. And I remember one, and maybe one of the interior runs had a bunch of guys falling on him.
He hasn't been hit since last
November. There were a bunch of plays where you could just see he talked afterwards about you have to have the 3-second clock in your head. He said, but the line gave me more than that. There was a play early in the second quarter, he was in the pocket for 4 or 5 seconds, and then he kind of drifts to his left, and he's waiting for someone to come open, and they don't. This is 6, 7, and then he takes off, and he gets the first down. He picks up 10 yards or whatever, and he sees him coming. He gets out of bounds. It's that was Kyle's perfect quarterback play. The pocket was great for a long time, and then when it wasn't, the quarterback still stayed patient behind the line of scrimmage. And then when he finally took off, he got the first down, and he didn't let anybody hit him, and he got out of bounds. It was yes, more of that. Do that again. Keep it coming.
I think it was really cool, and I asked him about it. I'm not sure he understood what I was getting at, so I tried to follow it up. To me, I can remember when Brandon Doman took over at BYU. And he was thought as a big-time runner. But Skyline was a great athlete, can run past you and all that stuff. And he acknowledged that, that was his skill, and not to use that skill would be negligent. And he said he's going in to start, I think it was, New Mexico as his first start. And he said, I'm going to move around. I'm going to use my legs. But before I cross that line of scrimmage, I'm going to make absolutely sure that nobody's open. And I'm a quarterback, and they want me to throw the ball. And he really had a good understanding of what's going on. And I thought Dampier, from the games that I watched him play last year to this particular just one ball game, is that he had the same mindset. He knows that he could get the yardage, but he also knows that, in order for us to win, I got to have everybody engaged. It's like the great scorer in basketball. I can score, but I've got to get my other guys to think that they can do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so I felt like he was looking to throw rather than take off on downs where, okay, if we don't complete this pass, I've got 2 more downs.
Yep.
So it's not a 4th down. I've got to get the 1st down. You know, that 1 touchdown, 4th and goal from the 2. Obviously, it's design run, and boom, he made it look so easy. He had to get in the end zone, so I'll just take it myself, boys. And fine, you block for me, I'll just run, boom, and he barely got touched. But I was impressed with his desire to have vision. Whether he completed the pass or not, he was looking to get the ball downfield as opposed to simply, well, I know I can outrun or outmaneuver this guy, juke him left, right, whatever, he'll miss, and I'll get whatever I need. I thought that that was a good thing, particularly in a game that it was clear that you had won. And you can feel it. If you can probably feel it on television. I wasn't watching on television. I'm in the stadium. But after they go down and score twice, it's like, and if you needed anything else, they put together a nearly 10-minute drive that just was absolute, complete, and total dominance in the manner that I don't remember the last time they had that because I don't have a good memory on that stuff. But that was something, okay, I think it was Snowden bobbled the kickoff and he got hit, so it was down around the 5-yard line that they took over. And then it just, boom, we're just going to go right down the field. And it was such that, you know, they have an in-house announcer, right? So he'll tell you the plays, the tackle, the reception after each play. And then they'll also recap the scoring drive. Mm-hmm. And for me, watching that drive, because it seems so effortless, it did not seem like it took that long. When he said it took 9 minutes and 44 seconds, I thought, wow. I didn't even realize it. I was so enthralled in the drive that I did not realize that they took off almost 10 minutes of the clock. If you do that, you are going to win a game virtually every single time. If you put together a nearly 10-minute drive and are essentially flawless all the way down the field, you are way better than your opponent. And that was where they had the quick ones, but the 10-minute one, the nearly 10-minute, what's there, 16 seconds shy of 10 minutes, was just simply just incredibly awesome.
But you know when they do that, that's like 20 or 25 minutes of real time. For you to be locked in that for that long is interesting. I mean, we're in the media. We all have short attention spans and watch 3 games at the same time. You got told, and I forget who the player was. There was a player who came out in a Colorado game for the Utes, and it was because he was a star player. But they'd been out on the field too often, too quickly. He had too many snaps, and the coaches knew he needed to. I mean, they have the data on this. He needed a rest.
Oh, it was ASU, and it was Trevor Riley.
Oh, okay. It was Trevor Riley, right. Okay. And they have this 10-minute drive. It's like, that takes all the pressure off the coaches. They're like, everybody's had their 15 minutes of rest. First string defense in there. They don't think anything. Just put your best 11 out there and go.
That was back when they didn't have the depth that they have now.
Right.
And the Devils were down, and they exploited his absence. Kalani was the defense coordinator.
And he's the one who told you.
And he showed me it about, we went and looked at it, and he showed me what he was talking about. About how they needed, and that was the early days of the Pac-12, and they needed to build up depth, which obviously they've done all that because we're many years removed from that. But yeah, it was fascinating to see, and the Devils knew, oh, wow, that kid's really good, and we'll take him out. And they just, boom, they attacked that position right there.
We got to ask Bronco about that, about identifying the guys, because their roster didn't have numbers for the longest time. I don't think they even had numbers online. I wonder if that was an accident or if that was something Bronco did, like, the more mystery, the better. There's no reason they have to know.
He does a thing where you have to earn your number.
Oh, man. Broncos coming up, top of the hour. Stay with us.
Hey, bro. You hear us every day with our crazy opinions.
Hey, what are you doing?
Well, now it's time to hear from you.
Hey, great show.
Download the KSL Sports app and fire off your thoughts with the call-in tab on the bottom of your screen.
Your show is fantastic. It's the one that captivates me the most.
You can tell PK to stop singing.
Cheap bangs! Cheap bangs!
Let Jake and Ben know what you really think of the Jazz. Woo! Tell Hans and Scotty about your favorite barbecue spot or what color of tie JJ should be wearing on TV. The best entries will be played on the air. Download the KSL Sports app now and hit the call-in button to let your voice be heard.
I think you guys do an incredible job.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. And now, your Rocky Mountain Chevy dealer's strong play of the weekend.
Brock Fleming the snap. Tony Johnson is the holder. Here's the kick. It's blocked. And BYU trying to run it back here. Jack Kelly, who just made the defensive play, and now he does this. 50-plus yards on the blocked field goal return for the touchdown by Jack Kelly for BYU, and they're on the board first.
There's the Chevy Strong play of the game. Note today after 3 o'clock, Alex and JJ will call for it, and you can win fabulous prizes.
Isn't it time we started calling Bear Grizz? Because the youngest son is Buck, and they call him Cougar. He's a Grizzly Bear.
My immediate reaction is, I don't know if that's going to work. But my secondary reaction is, go ahead, challenge PK to see if he can make some work, and he'll just beat it into the ground until it works. I do that kind of stuff. I bring out the best in you. It's not going to work, PK. And then it becomes a quest to make it work.
He's a Grizzly Bear. He's big, he's strong, he's mighty.
You can analyze. You can have your bear analyzation column every week. Brown bear, black bear, panda bear, polar bear, grizzly bear. As long as he keeps turning those grizzlies, I give that performance 4 grizzlies. That was 3 pandas today.
If he's brown, get down.
Okay.
If he's black, get back. If he's a grizzly, pray.
More poetry, Yak. It's Labor Day poetry with PK.
That's what they tell you. It's not poetry. That's exactly what it is. He's a grizzly bear. Grizzly Bear Bachmeier.
Bronco Mendenhall. Bronco Mendenhall joins us next. Stay with us. DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We're joined now by Bronco Mendenhall, Utah State football coach. Bronco, good morning.
Good morning.
Congrats on the victory. So often coaches say afterwards, I need to look at the film. You were pretty definitive in the postgame. You didn't really go to the whole film thing, but you have had a chance to watch the film. Do you think anything different than you thought when you were talking in your postgame press conference?
Not necessarily. Sometimes I think as a coach, especially with experience, you can see, and there are days that you see it fairly clearly, others not quite as much. I thought I saw it fairly clearly Saturday. One of the things that I didn't see, again, there were some miscues and some penalties. The number that were within our special teams units, I hadn't attributed as many to that, which is one of the takeaways that we need to be cleaner. I like the coverage component, but we had some special teams penalties that were the number was beyond what I expected.
Miles Davis leads you in rushing and receiving. Bryson Barnes obviously is going to lead you in passing. Both these kids local. We've had an opportunity to watch them over the years. And I think for both of them, this is the first time that they go into a season as the undisputed starters. And maybe Davis didn't, but he certainly knew he was going to play a lot. With that in mind, I'm wondering, like a shooter in basketball, if I know, hey, I'm going to play, I don't necessarily put pressure on myself. I got to make this shot to stay out on the floor. How much do you think these guys knowing you're going to be out there is relaxing them and allowing them to play the ability that they have?
I think a lot the second part, allowing them to play to the ability they have. I think all of us, regardless of our age or what kind of work we do, right, you want to be needed and you want to be wanted. And, man, then you get a chance to prove if you're capable. And so both of these kids have been with other programs, and were needed to a degree and wanted to a degree, but it wasn't quite what they were hopeful for, and maybe not quite what the institution they were leaving was hopeful for. They're here now, and they're the primary player at quarterback and the primary player at running back. I think that allows them to prepare mentally for really a whole different type of role and a different type of game. And so knowing that, I think to your point, allows the specificity, the confidence, and really the visualization to happen, not coming off the bench and are they going to call my name and what might my role be, but knowing what it is and preparing as such. And I think it gave them both their best chance and will continue to give them a good chance.
Miles Davis had 12 carries in the game. He also had 6 catches, so he got a lot of touches. Do you think that's a normal usage for him going forward? The one thing I saw was Bryson Barnes with 15 carries. And, what's a rushing play and what's a sack, and when's he scrambling to avoid a sack, and is that really a rush? There's that fine line out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just wondering if Bryson's going to be getting hit that much, or if Davis is going to get the ball more and Miles is going to get hit that much.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tilted a little bit more the other way, a little more toward Bryson, toward Miles, a little less from Bryson. Again, there were sacks, and those probably half were avoidable, but those were counted as rushing plays. So, again, we'd like to see the ball handed more than kept. But we also know with Bryson's strength, not only does he throw it well, but he's a good runner and he's tough. And that makes the running game more effective for us when the defense isn't quite sure which of the two, with an exchange or the run schemes that we're having, we'll get the ball, and it keeps them a little wider and a little thinner. And that should help us.
The number of sacks, what's your concern, and what do you need to do to make sure that improves?
Yeah, pretty typical. There's when you look at it, and during the game I was aware, certainly, but there's communication usually where it starts. So we had communication sacks, we had a few technique sacks, and then we had just assignment sacks. And then there are some of the quarterback, quite frankly, just staying on time will fix. So about every category you can put a sack in of how come it happened. We had that. So we certainly can clean that up and will. But it wasn't it was this player or this thing. It was basically all the things that, come when a defense sacks your quarterback. We had probably every category of that. So an area to improve for sure.
Fans and the media, too, tend to enjoy the spectacular play, right? On defense, the sack or the turnover, right? It jumps out at us. It's what brings people out of their seats. And on offense, it's a skill player, whether it's a big catch or a long run. I find that coaches tend to appreciate the guy who lines up in the right position, doesn't have a penalty before the snap. Those drive coaches nuts. And then runs the right way and takes on the right block, defends the right thing. And I'm wondering how much of a 28-16 win in an opening game, your first game, is because all the stuff that doesn't bring us out of our seats gets done right, as far as lining up, penalties, going to the right gap, or blocking the right guy if you're on offense. How much of that nuts and bolts stuff is what really drove the win for the Aggies in Game 1?
It is what drove the win, and that's probably the most gratifying part, and why I was optimistic and am optimistic not only after the game but now. Is arriving in December. It seems like a long time ago. It really is a race, almost as if you're inheriting or taking over a startup business and trying to get everything on ground and up and running before launch. And we play complementary football. That's our style. We're very clear about our metrics. I'm very clear about what it looks like for 11 players out there, and what that composite and collective should look like. And the collective effort of the Utah State football players and our team from beginning to end, while it wasn't perfect, it was coordinated, it was consistent, and it did last. And that was really gratifying for Game 1 as just we launched this season.
How about you personally? If I recall that your first game at your other 3 stops you lost, and here you won. I wonder what your emotions were about it. I mean, you're a veteran. You've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, I wasn't really comparing. I think my first game at BYU, Boston College, beat us, and I remember going for it or punting on 4th down late in the game rather than going for it, and I got booed in my first home game as the head coach at BYU, and I was like, oh, that's what head coaching looks like. So I remember that moment. The next 2. At UVA, we lost to an FCS opponent.
Richmond, right?
And Richmond, yep. And at New Mexico, we lost to an FCS opponent, which was Montana State. Having said all that, none of that was really on my mind. It's a lot to get a program up and running. It's a lot to get it up and running and doing well at the opener. And I was just gratified by that, but I wasn't really putting it in comparison. I was just happy for our team, happy for the players. Because we work really hard. Our program's demanding. And over time, the results always catch up. It's just nice to have something sooner rather than later to help them with understanding the credibility, the confidence, and what will come.
Leading tacklers tend to be linebackers. It's just the way defenses are built. When it's a safety, it's usually a sign that a defense is having a really bad game. But 11 tackles for a corner. I don't think I've seen that. Noah Avinger, if I pronounce it Avinger. 11 tackles for a corner. How did that happen? Why so many tackles, and is that going to be replicated?
Yeah, so we actually played him in the game at safety, and so there was UTEP was a no-huddle, up-tempo team, spread formation, meaning lots of empty, lots of 2x2 or 3x1 or even 3x2 formations. And so we played a different style and a different scheme to give us our best leverage. And so Noah Avinger was actually on the slot. And we also dropped him down into the force position quite a bit. And so many times the ball couldn't run where they wanted it to run. It had to bounce into the alley. And that's one of the reasons we put him there. He's a very good tackler besides a good coverage player. We had him at New Mexico. He was a team captain for us there. He had started at San Diego State prior to New Mexico at corner. And anyway, he's a team captain here also. So just an amazing leader, really good football player. And some of those tackles came on special teams. So, yeah, he's a good football player and did a lot.
You got Texas A&M, and it's what we call a money game. Now, you've played money games, but I think in your other spots, you might have been on the other end of money games. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, great opportunity for our program and our team, and huge chance to grow, huge chance to demonstrate and to play football at a higher level than we did this past week. College experiences are awesome, and not many of our kids have been probably to Texas A&M. But I'm also really clear, and after being on the other side, or maybe both sides of these types of games, or what the perception is, I really don't get too caught up in what the name is or what the patch is in terms of the conference. And I literally believe in every game we have a great chance to win. And so the mindset of our program will be to play the best we can and to go down there to win a football game. And I really, don't go farther in terms of the concessions that sometimes happen based on what the appearance of matchup is.
Texas A&M beat UTSA, Texas San Antonio, 42-24. What did you see in that game? What are the major challenges when you look at that film?
Yeah, they're also an up-tempo team and spread in nature. Good athletes, mobile and active and dynamic quarterback, and having experienced and seen what Coach Elko did at Duke, aggressive defensively. And so just, well coached, good athletes, and a confident football program that's had some success. So, looking forward to it.
You've coached out this way, so you're used to these crazy start games. And looking at your schedule, you've got, obviously it's a morning game, 10:45, and then you come back, and I think Air Force, you got 7:45 at night. But you've been through this. I don't know how much you did that at Virginia, though, because on the other side of the country, obviously they're not playing these late games. But how much you draw from your experience to be able to, at Virginia, you played a lot of earlier games, and then when you coach at BYU New Mexico, you're used to playing at night.
Yeah, it really is part of college football now. And there's different places you are in the pecking order, but really what determines it really almost exclusively is television. And that's by design. The institutions and college football has supported that by conference alignment and chasing the money and the packages that come, with that. So that's just what it is. So we really don't make a big thing about it, other than we're very specific about our preparation in terms of sleep, in terms of nutrition, and in terms of our preparation, trying to match the time as best as possible. So we're adjusted rather than reacting when we start.
I'm a little surprised how much of a deal gets made out of this. I mean, from the fans' perspective, sure, it impacts the tailgating and being all there and making your kids' games. But from the players' perspective, when these players were coming up and they're in junior high and elementary school, whatever, they probably had 11 a.m. games. And when they're in high school, they have 7 o'clock games. So they've pretty much done it all at this point. By the time they get to a college campus, what's the big deal?
Yeah, I think we all just love routine. Yeah. And with routine, there's comfort. And anytime there's not routine, there's change. And when there's change, there's discomfort. And so I think just families, I think young people, I think organizations, they'll react exactly as we react and what our expectations are. I do remember one specific time we're at BYU traveling, and we were playing at Michigan, early game, and there's a time change there as well. And I remember looking back, again, I was the head coach and defensive coordinator at that time. I look back on the defensive bus, the majority of the team was asleep, and I was like, okay, we missed our preparation on this. We kind of started playing about the third quarter, and I'm laughing now. I wasn't laughing then, but it doesn't mean I've always handled it appropriately either, even as a leader. And so you can normally tell on game day and as you're adjusting to whatever time the game is, if your preparation model's been right.
I think the community of Cache Valley has been sort of shell-shocked with Utah State football. You've had some big-time highs, and I speak not you personally, but of the fans and all that, and then they've had a lot of chaos. They've had some lows. They've had some turmoil off the field, all these things going on. Have you found that the ability, and when I say sell, connect with the program or the community, is it more like, well, we're going to wait and see here because we've sort of been through the ringer?
Yeah. Not necessarily. I think that it's been kind of the opposite. What my wife Holly and I have experienced is there's just an acknowledgement of stability and consistency and purpose and method that have come with, maybe you could call it my brand or just who I am,
right.
And what the career has kind of been. And so because that's been in this same state, there's been almost an instant acknowledgement of, we're getting this, where the program's going to be run with really high expectations, with great kids, good grades, service, and winning, and it's going to be consistent. It's going to be consistent that way for a long time. So I would say it's kind of that sense that's what's being acknowledged and just accepted matter-of-factly. There certainly will be some that, because of the color blue that I was wearing, they might not have a special affinity for me being here, and that can change over time. But overall, the reception has just been, we know exactly what we're getting. We know what the results have been, and we also know how they've come. And it seems like that's a really good fit for this institution, this program, this community, based on all the things you just said.
You know, Bronco, you and PK and I are all of a certain age that we can remember when it took 3 or 4 years to build a college program, because that's just how the system worked, and that's what good coaches had to do to build a good program. But to PK's point, in the last 5 years, Utah State's gone from 1-7 the pandemic to winning the conference title, which was a huge high, and beating a good Oregon State team in the LA Bowl, and then right back down into last year, which was a mess. But now I'm looking at what's happening around college football. Forget the old model. Florida State just had a 1-loss team. Then they had a 2-win team. Now they're on the high of beating Alabama. It seems like, and this seems to be right up your alley, it's never mattered more. Like what you do today and what you do this week is what matters. And what comes before and after, that's going to be its own thing. So just be good today and you get to win this week.
That's really it. And it's so much just about the process. And the process is really what determines the outcome. While most of our conversations and in conversations like this or elsewhere are about the outcomes, which are absolutely part of the job, the way to get to the outcomes is the process. And that in and of itself, if you use the Florida State example, or really anyone else, the dynamic nature and how volatile teams are and the roster changes simply because the money, it just is all over the map. And so if there's a consistent leader in place with great program design and methodologies that just keeps chipping away at it and adding the right pieces within what their institutional approach is and just stays the course. More often than not, those programs will kind of weather all the ups and downs and will end up having success. And that's really what we're talking about here with Aggie football.
Bronco, we appreciate it as always. Good luck in College Station, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Hey, thanks. See you guys later. Bye.
Bronco Mendenhall, head coach of the Utah State Aggies. Man, I listen to him talk, and I'm like, that's Pablo. That's Pablo Mastroeni right there. It's the outcome matters. You get paid for winning and losing, absolutely. But the process, how you practice, how you train every day, that's going to tell you whether you win on Saturday or not.
More than likely, yes. It's funny, both of these two sports, you can dominate statistically and still lose. I'm not sure that there are other sports that you can really do that, but soccer and football, we've seen it many times, and you have to make the plays that are necessary. I think with Bronco Mendenhall, what this program needed was a form of stability because it has been through the ringer. Now, the good thing about it is a lot of these kids haven't necessarily been through it at Utah State. When you bring in 70 players, they don't really know what was going on. But what they do know is that Bronco Mendenhall is just going to be solid in what he does. And he comes to work every day, and there's some people like, what mood you going to be in today? What level of just who you are can I count on? And with him, I would think it's about 99.999 and go 5,000 more nines% that you know what you're going to get. We know what we're going to We all know what we're going to get out of Bronco Mendenhall. He hasn't changed. He got the job at 38. He's like 58 now, and he's the same guy then as the same guy now. You better ask him a real question or he's going to blow you off. Ask him a real question. He'll give you answers. And I know with these kids, here you need to do A, B, C, D, so forth. The message that he preaches and says is the same message that for him literally is timeless. And these are the ways to have success. And if you do these things, you will have success. That's what he feels and believes. And the players, if they're the right kind of player, they can succeed and really thrive into what he has to offer. If you're looking to mess around, go someplace else, because he's not looking to mess around. He's very clinical in his approach, and for him, he's true to who he is, and it works.
And now he gets to benefit from the multiplier effect of being right. I can remember Pablo Mastroianni saying, I told him at halftime, if you go out there and if they keep doing what they're doing, they're going to score 3 goals, and they're going to win. And they scored 3 goals and they win. I mentioned to him afterwards, he goes, lucky that third one went in, aren't I? And kind of winked. But it's the acknowledgement when you're a coach, regardless college or pro and whatever sport, when you tell players if you do A, you will get B as a result, and then it happens, the belief factor goes way up. And believing matters so much. And Bronco's been telling these guys something for months, and now they go out and win 28-16, and they're walking in today thinking, well, what's he going to tell me next? I'm going to do that because I want to win 28-16 again.
And he believes in it.
Yeah.
He's not just selling you anything. These are core beliefs that he has. And that's why I respect him. I respected him massively when he was at BYU, and I'm glad I can respect him up close here again.
Well, it's, the media in that way is a lot like the players. Like Bronco told you different things on multiple occasions, just matter of fact, and it was old school. You're standing there with a notebook, and he's talking to you, and he told you, if this, then that. And then you go up to the press box and watch the game on Saturday, and this happens, and that's the result. And you're like, oh, this guy knows his stuff. When coaches call their shot like that, whether it's players or the media, they get a ton of credit. They get so much credibility in our minds. Like, I'm going to listen to what this person says. They've done this at a high level now. They know how this works.
Yeah, I saw it be done in Provo. And if he can do it in Logan, that's a crowning achievement. It might even be better, not necessarily in terms of the accomplishment, but I'm talking about the ability to have the accomplishment.
If you're one of the fans who was looking at this thing, and I wonder if Bronco can get them bowl eligible year one, looking at the schedule, they got 2 SEC games, they got Boise and all that. And now a week into the season, if you're thinking, I wonder if it's 7 or if it's 8 or if it's 9 wins, I get it. I'm wondering the same thing myself. I was thinking the same thing a couple of weeks ago. Can you get them bowl eligible? There's 70 new guys. How good are these guys?
I'm still thinking it. I don't think it's a guarantee.
What, bowl eligible?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still want to watch. I still want to see. It's not that I'm skeptical, and I guess maybe to an extent I am, but I believe in Bronco Mendenhall.
Well, that's why. But aren't you also thinking that 7, 8, or 9 might be possible? I mean, everything comes together. I get it.
My track record of him leans towards the optimism, but I have to step back and look at the talent level that he has versus the talent level of the teams he's playing.
So, for me, I know he can do it because I've seen him do it multiple times, but I'm not used to seeing him do it right out of the gate. But the rules are different now. So all that other stuff doesn't matter. Maybe he can do it right out of the gate year one, because the rules are so different. I mean, that Boston College game, and he brought up the punt, and you looked at me like, I've told you about that punt. I told you that stuck with him. That was also 20 years ago. The rules were way different. You couldn't remake a roster overnight the way you can now.
No, that roster was already ready-made to win 6 games. He just had to get it to believe in itself and to have everyone pulling in the same direction rather than 50, 60, 70 directions that they had in the prior administration. And he was able to do that to the level that got them where they were. And then once they had that belief in him and everybody believed, then they take off and win double-digit figures the next 4 seasons. That was very impressive. Bronco Mendenhall, if they would have stayed in the conference or a conference at BYU, he would have continued to do that. But once it went independent, everything changed. One of the reasons why he got out and felt like he was smothered, and let's not kid ourselves, they doubled his salary.
There's a drop somewhere in there, Yak. Independence, when he was asked about it for about the 500th time. Independence.
Yeah, that was the...
I will talk about it because I have to, but I don't really want to.
That was the dominant storyline of that particular training camp in August. It wasn't about the team.
Independence. All right, DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Everything you missed in this show, next.
It's game week for the Cougars, and the KSL Sports Zone is getting you ready for kickoff. It's back-to-back home games for the Cougars to start the season as BYU welcomes Stanford to LaBelle Edwards Stadium this Saturday. Listen all week long for the best coverage of Cougar football and your chance to win tickets to the game. Then catch college football Saturday game day at 10 a.m. with a post-game show immediately following the game on KSLSports.com. Your home for the best coverage of BYU football is live on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Slacker Radio Headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 801-899-7600, or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. Time to talk about everything we've talked about in this show. It's a Labor Day holiday. I'm assuming a few of you were getting up a little late and are catching up now. We just had Bronco Mendenhall on. We talked about his Aggies victory, and all morning we've been talking about the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies cleaning up. Perfect 3-0. Not only did everybody win, everybody covered the spread, everybody won by double digits. There was much joy and happiness and high-fiving everywhere, PK.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind 35-1 among the teams.
4 years ago, they combined for 31 wins and 2 conference titles. There's never been a happier football season than 2021. Can they match it this year? I will say the one thing that we ought to all slow our roll on here is don't think anybody played anybody who's going bowling this year. I mean, they tried to schedule it, and it's like you said earlier in the show, hey, if UCLA is not good enough, that's not a Utah program. You scheduled a Big Ten school. You're trying to play good games. If they're not good enough to keep up, well, that's a them problem. You look good. And the same goes for BYU. They scheduled an ACC school. They're both scheduling California Pac-12 schools from back in the day. These are the games we all want to see. We were all happy when we saw they were scheduled. And Stanford may not be good enough to keep up. If so, so be it.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
That's
And we may be 2 weeks in, and the only bowl team we've seen is Texas A&M. I assume they'll be a bowl team. They usually are.
I can follow your logic there.
Yeah.
I understand all that.
But it wasn't just that they won. They passed the eyeball test right out of the gate about this is what blocking and tackling and playing with confidence looks like and guys making plays. Even if the competition was somewhere from substandard to freaking hideous. Portland State, yikes.
Well, they were going to do that.
I know, but score a point in your first 2 games. They've opened with back-to-back shutouts. It's horrible.
They suck. I mean, I get it. I mean, they're well coached and all that, blah, blah, blah. In one ear, out the other. They suck. They're not good. UTEP, that's a team that if Utah State wins, that's a good win for them, especially under the circumstances. When you put in the circumstantial situations of a new coach, so many new players, blah, 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 that's a great win for them to develop a confidence and to go, and we're not going to pick them to beat A&M, but show well, and you can draw confidence. And then I think you got Air Force, McNeese State, so maybe minimum you should be 2-2, which isn't bad. But you want more than that, maybe 3-1. If you're 3-1, that's a great first month of the season, no doubt about it. BYU, their tests will come. With the good thing about them is that since they're starting Grizzly Bear, that it's all about building confidence. And so the schedule was one of the reasons why I said he was going to be the starter.
When does it go from because you had this great quote about false confidence. I love that quote. When does it go from false confidence to real confidence?
Well, they beat Colorado over there.
So not until the conference.
Yeah. Colorado is
game.
going to be desperate, right? Because they lost their first game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who they play the next few, but everyone is. It's the start of the fresh start of the real season that really matters. Even though you've played 3 ball games, and so you go over there and win that ball game. Yeah, then you come back 1-0. You get a win on the road in conference. It doesn't really matter who it is. You feel good about it. You feel great about it. So. Have him continue to progress. I really had no doubt in my mind. I know many people would say in Hillstead, and I didn't want to come out and say, no, you're wrong. But you were wrong. It was going to be Bachmeier.
If you want to watch Colorado, they're playing Delaware on Big Fox at 1:30. And if Colorado-Delaware is on Big Fox, you can just thank the Deion Celebrity for that.
Yeah.
Because it's Deion Celebrity powering Delaware into Big Fox.
Because he doesn't have the glamour players that he had last year.
It's
so it is about the coach.
It's certainly not a glamour opponent.
I'm not really interested in that one. And then for Utah, the whole idea of what they needed and if they got it would go crazy in terms of expectation, and that's where we are. And Kyle's going to speak today at 11, and I think he's probably going to try to downplay it a little bit because right now, and I'm, as if the word is guilty, if you want to apply it, I'm as guilty as anybody. The expectation is extremely high. The playoff. Yeah, playoff. I said it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what I don't know if they're going to get there, but the expectation I don't think is out of whack. I think it's completely legitimate for them.
If that's not the goal, what are you doing, right?
But I mean, it's the goal for Cincinnati. It's everybody's goal, but there has to be a level of reasonable expectation.
Okay, well, yeah.
It's the goal to win every game, but this is a reasonable expectation.
It's a reasonable goal for Utah.
If I saw what I saw and I seen what I seen, and here we are. That's why I said, man, I got to go to this game. I told the company, if I only go to one game, it's got to be this game because this is the game that is going to set the tone. Now, they're never going to be cocky. I don't see that. But their whole idea is, wow, anybody who was on the team last year, forget it. That's long gone.
Nothing to do with anything
We
now.
are a big-time team this season, and we got everything we need to compete at an extremely high level, and that's where it's at. And I'm expecting them to be that team. 2 losses, 3 losses maybe. That's as far as I'll go. And I don't think they have a brutal schedule. I think every team that they play is 100% beatable. And I would put the floor now at 9-3, 6-3. But I'm actually expecting more. I never pick anybody to go undefeated. So 1 loss, maybe 2 losses, 7-2.
We're at Kenny J's doing the preseason, and I said, they're going to be good. So 9, if they go up and beat UCLA. Is it 9 wins? Is it 10 or 11? And you went nuts. But that really is what everybody's thinking now.
And it's not just that they
9,
beat
10
them.
or 11. Oh, it's how they look.
They whitewashed them.
Yes.
They just destroyed them.
Play after play. There were no flukes, tip passes. They won. You just kept watching every play thinking, they won that play. They won that play. They won that play.
If they play 10 out of 10, they would beat them 10 times. I often say, hey, the reason why I don't get caught up in results, if it's a close game, there's a winner and a loser. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. Well, this wasn't the case. No. There was only one team that was going to win.
Yeah.
This was a beatdown of epic proportions.
The only 2 things that I guess people could complain about is, they want more big plays, the 20-yard chunk yardage. I thought that was the master of just like so many 6- and 8-yard gains, just one after another. They were they were rarely in bad down and distance situations. And when they were, they throw a swing pass on 3rd and 9 and pick up 11 yards. No big deal. No big deal. Just Smith Snowden out of the backfield and a guy unblocked, and he barely touched him. It's just unbelievable. And then some of the deep balls were underthrown, and one of them led to a penalty, and one was completed anyway, and one could have been a penalty. It was incomplete. They didn't call it. So, but, man, you're really nitpicking at that point because that was a dominant performance. And now we've got 2 games where it's just kind of like, all right, go do it and get us to the conference season.
Dampier isn't a prolific passer, but it isn't about what he can't do. It's about the 100 other things that he can do.
Well, and there are a bunch of things he can do. It's like his accuracy has to increase. Not only was the completion percentage good, and this is you're the king of.
Great.
It was. The numbers say, 21 to 25, that's great. But like when you're watching the game, his completions usually, except on those 3 deep balls I'm talking about, they gave the player a chance to get yards after the catch. We all seen swing passes where the guy has to, it's not that long a pass, but the guy's catching it down at his ankles. And it's hard to, be explosive if you're catching the ball over the top of your helmet or if you have to leave your feet or if it's down at your shoe tops. But he's hitting guys right in the number and they got a chance to run after they catch the ball, make a play.
My concern that I had for him going into the season still exists. When they have to throw the ball, how will it be?
Now, in this game, they had the lead, and the down and distance
really
was
had to throw the ball.
And the down and distance was really good, so there were very few of those plays.
Right. There was never against the clock. We have got to move the ball, and we're going to have to throw it. You take a look at like what BYU had against Utah last year. They had to complete 3 or 4 very good pass yardage gains to where then they had time and score. Well, score was always going to remain the same, but time that they can do the option and Ropati can go down the right side and get them into field goal position. But they had to throw the ball to get in that position to use the play that set up the field goal. And I want to see. I have doubt. I'm not skeptical, but I just want to see it. Not if, because it's going to come. I don't know when. I don't expect it to come. Maybe it comes Texas Tech. Maybe, I don't know. It's going to come somewhere. Maybe it comes Kansas State. Maybe not till the end of the season against Kansas. Who knows? But they're going to have to do it. And how do they do it at that time?
I would expect it comes in October because they've got Texas Tech, ASU, and BYU a stretch in there. That's
yeah. Texas Tech is September, but I get your point.
Yeah. Your wife got the best quote in the postgame. Share that, and we're catching people up on people who missed stuff earlier in the show.
Yeah, she came down with me, and I told her, wait at the top of the tunnel. That's where the buses go down and where the players from both teams come up, and families are waiting for them, and it's in the dark. And I had some work to do, blah, 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 after the game, so she was standing around there. And so when I hooked up with her, she was at the game, obviously, and saw that it was non-competitive. And she said that she was standing out there and fans were walking by, and she said a boy looked up to his father. She assumed it was his father. Oh, yeah, he was his father. She said, Dad, why aren't we any good? He wanted to know, why is my team this bad? Why has my team been this bad? And
it's a kid, so most, if not all of their lives. Depending on how old the kid was.
Yeah, I think he was like 12, maybe 10 or whatever.
May not be able to remember Jim Moore's glory years when they won 8, 9, 10.
No, I don't. He has no knowledge of Dick Vermeil.
None of Dick Vermeil. Who was the guy who was there in the late 90s who was kind of a goofball? And
Bob Toledo?
Yeah. He's a little goofy. Had a big year. Had to get away from him right at the end.
Yeah. Because I think it was Toledo.
25 years since they had a conference title. And then
Terry Donahue.
I don't know when
Toledo,
the next one.
Darrell, Neuheisel, Chip Kelly, and now I think I got them all. You already mentioned Moore, obviously.
25 years without a conference title.
Maybe an interim coach there or something.
And maybe another...
they look like they're going to struggle.
Light years away from winning a Big Ten title.
Yeah,
given who's, there's
4 or 5 wins,
3 or 4 teams in the top 5 or 10 every year. So good luck with that.
Yeah, and you can look, and I can see their sideline. I walk around at the end of the game, and I'm down there, and there was no life. It's like, get out of here, man. This is awful. We suck, and they do. It was an embarrassment. I talked to a lifelong fan. after the game because I know people down there, obviously, and he just said he was embarrassed, and I get it. Yeah. I was embarrassed for them. I was ecstatic for the Utes, but embarrassed for the other side.
DJ PK, your feedback when we come back. Stay with us.
And it's all over almost here.
Don't go nowhere. Still time for summer. We got a few more weeks. We're doing a summer endorsement product challenge that we've got going on. If you've got a product that you would love for me to endorse, I would love to get with you. Here's simply what you do. You text PK to 57500, and our sales staff will take care of it. Come on, guys. People, ladies, men, you got a business. I'd love to endorse it. Text PK to 57500.
We got Aggie fans lining up. Don't mess with Texas. I think UTEP found out don't mess with Bronco and Utah State. Now it's time to shock the college football world in College Station.
Oh, yeah, that would be something, man. No doubt about it.
You know what the spread is for that game?
I don't. I would say 17.
29.
Wow.
Got the BYU spread? BYU Stanford?
I'd go 18.
Bingo! Right on the button. Had you seen that?
Had I seen it?
Yeah.
Well, if I'd seen it, why would I be 12 under for Utah State?
I thought maybe you saw the BYU one. Someone tweeted it out somewhere or something.
I have not.
I didn't think you went through 50-point spreads. That's not really how you roll. That would be surprising.
And I don't even, whatever Utah wants to win by, 45, I don't even know if they have one.
I haven't seen one for Utah. Don't know. But it's Cal Poly, so yeah, like you said, whatever Kyle wants to win by ought to be it. Your impression of the opening weekend with the Cougars, Utes, and Aggies all opening the season with comfortable wins. What do you have to say? And Jacob says, I'm a BYU fan, and I am worried about Utah. They look dominant. I am grateful the rivalry game's in Provo, and I'm also happy to have Bronco back here in the state.
I'd agree with all that.
Chewbacca. I picked all three. No surprises there. And then he puts up the gif of the Emperor from Star Wars. Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
I picked all three, but my least confident was Utah State.
And then they go out and win by double digits.
Yeah, so I was impressed.
Captain Cody, it was a good Saturday, and he hits us with the WWE gif. The wrestler overselling it. Woo!
Yeah. Yeah.
Kathy, the retired librarian, says Utah State with Barnes plus Bronco was not a surprise. Has UTEP ever been good? It's very encouraging to see the quarterbacks of the Y and the U. Looks like a fun season. What happened to UCLA? What a joke.
True. Yeah, good question, man.
UTEP is coming off back-to-back 3-9 seasons, so they had a bowl team 4 years ago or something.
This is not Ohio State here.
Right.
I understand.
But nonetheless, for a team with a new coach and 70 new players.
Yeah, I had a little bit. Yeah. Show me.
Right. And UTEP with a second-year coach, and they started 0-6 and then went 3-3. Maybe they're figuring it out. You know, it didn't seem to me like a guaranteed win.
No.
But they took control of it, and it felt pretty comfortable there by the middle of the third quarter. They trailed briefly, gave up one big pass play.
Well, I think particularly at this level, I'm a believer in Bryson Barnes.
Yeah. And you're a believer in Broncos defenses. We've got enough guys who coordinated defenses here for long enough, and we've seen them. What are we sitting on? Kyle, whether he's defensive coordinator or head coach, you've watched his defenses for 30 years. Kalani, whether he's a defensive coordinator or head coach, you've watched his defenses for 15 going on 20 years now, not quite. I think he started after the Sugar Bowl, so 17 years.
Yeah.
And for Bronco, on and off for 15 years. I don't know, what is that, like 50 years of watching these three teams?
Yeah, I really love this, man. These three guys are our guys.
Yeah, and we know the deal.
Yeah.
We know the deal with all three of them.
Right. I think that's really cool. It's so Utah-ish. And that's the way it should be. I love it. It bugs me when I see these guys come in and they're these carpetbaggers and their kids get their face painted and I'm this. No, you're not.
And you're looking for a job and you're out of here in a year or two. Not 3,
right.
A year or 2.
And these guys are our guys. Yeah. They can speak the language that is spoken in this state.
You were talking earlier about the national media and how they react to the Utes. You just got to give them just a little bait, and they will go on a feeding frenzy. Did you see Clay Travis's tweet? I would have missed it, but someone tweeted it, or quote tweeted or whatever, and tagged
Clay
me.
Travis, the sports commentator turned political.
Turned political.
Mm-hmm.
He tweeted this out. The game didn't end until almost 2 a.m. Eastern time, so most people missed it. But I think Utah was the most impressive team I saw on both sides of the ball yesterday.
Yeah, and I used to listen to him driving in way back when, and he is a hardcore Tennessee guy, so he wants to see that quarterback over there in the blue and gold suffer.
Okay. He got a former Tennessee quarterback, so he's going to watch the game, and then to his delight, the Utes completely dominated.
Right. So I think a little
That's why he stayed up till 2 a.m.
There's a lot of truth there. But I think
what was his motivation?
Piling on.
Yeah, what was his motivation?
He wants to see that guy suck.
Yeah. All right, DJ PK, we're all done. Jake and Ben are coming up next right here on The Zone.